Welcome back to Devtalkspodcast, guys. I'm getting on here. I want to explain what happened with our most recent episode that's getting ready to drop. Actually, the one that you just clicked on. I had a very good and interesting conversation with Mr. Scott Gaither. We talked insurance and the shady things that hospitals do as far as billing and stuff. It's a really good episode, and I highly recommend you guys watch it. Throughout our interview and our conversation, the software stopped. So we got a lot of the info out, but at the end it will just cut off, and that's what I'm on here today, is just to explain to you what happened. So don't think you're missing anything. It's one of those things that we didn't know this glitch happened until after we had done recording. So that's why it'll just drop off at a certain point. It's still about almost a 3-hour podcast, and I hope you guys really enjoy it. It was really good. It was full of a lot of information, and he was a really good guest. So yeah, that I just wanted to get on here and tell you guys what had happened. So I hope you enjoy it, and look forward to see you again on the next episode. Cheers. Oh, and make sure, if you guys like what I'm doing, please subscribe. It helps tremendously with growing my podcast here, and it's about the only way to grow this thing is to subscribe. So make sure to get on there, subscribe, follow, like, share. I'd really appreciate if you guys just support me throughout this endeavor, because I care a lot about this project. And yeah, well, have a great night, guys, and cheers. All right, welcome back to Devtalkspodcast. We are here to talk everything from Bigfoot to UFOs, politics, and insurance. I'm here with my guest today, Scotty Gaither. How you doing, man?
Oh, doing great. How are you all?
Oh, doing good. How's the insurance business going?
Goes up and down as always. I mean, some days you do really good. Some days you're sitting there fiddling your thumbs.
Yeah, well, that kind of goes with the economy right now, I think. I mean, man, I have never seen an economy this bad since the only thing I have to compare it to, which I'm only 29 years old. I'll be 30 in August. Only thing I have to compare it to is the 2008 financial crisis, and holy shit, was it bad. But I'm seeing the exact same patterns that happened back in 2008 now. And
I agree.
It's wild. The bad thing is, in 2008 we had the Afghan war. We had several different things going on with Libya, Syria, even in Ukraine back in, when was that? 2013. Little.
Yeah, that's when they took a part of
Crimea.
Part of Crimea, and then they come in and take the rest. When we got weak.
Yeah.
I mean, when Biden went in, our whole country fell apart.
Yeah. Well, that's no shit. The thing is, the 2020 election, to me, it was one of the wildest times in American history, for the simple fact that instead of voting for a person to get elected, they were voting for a person to get out.
Amen.
And it didn't matter what I believe that they could have put a jackass, which they did, but a real jackass. I believe they could have put a real jackass on the Democratic ticket, and they still would have voted for it, because it was anything but Trump. This whole, what is it? Left till I'm dead, or blue.
Yeah. And that's sad for this country too, that we're that divided.
Oh, dude, we've never been more divided.
No.
And it's perfect for our enemies. If you take a look, that's like Shang Tsung's Art of War. What is the best way to defeat your enemy? From within. Divide, conquer. If you can create chaos within the infrastructure of the enemies, then that alleviates less time for them to worry about, how do I put it? That alleviates less time for us to worry about our enemies, because we're too focused on stupid shit going on within our own country.
And this is true.
And, it's perfect. I mean, we, back in 2000, 13, 14, no, 2021. When was Trump in? 16 to 20?
16 to 20.
Okay. Yeah. Time flies. Jesus Christ. But from 16 to 20, all we heard was Russia shield, Russian disinformation. He's a puppet of Putin, all this. And then we get.
And then you got the dossier, and you got all of that they've proven that it was just Hillary Clinton bullcrap.
That's it. But
the
roots run deep whenever it comes to the political establishment that is the Republican and Democratic national parties. Our forefathers warned us not about the two-party system on what it would do to us. It's basically, anymore politics are a religion instead of politics. People believe it with their whole heart, and they won't change their mind whether they are presented with new information or not.
Well, the problem is they've started back in the 90s, taking our kids and programming them to a certain way.
Yeah.
From kindergarten. And that, if you go back in history, that's what Hitler did. Is he took the kids and he programmed them over several years through changes to believe that his belief.
Yeah.
And the same thing I believe has happened in this country is they've programmed our kids through our schools, through our education systems to believe more of a liberal way, which is a more of a communist, fascist,
socialism.
Socialistic way. And nobody's left behind. Everybody wins. Everybody gets a trophy. And life just really isn't that way. Life is a dog eat dog world.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, are we doing a bigger disservice to our children by saying everyone wins, everyone gets a trophy? Because whenever you get out into the real world, they fall flat on their ass, because it's like, hey, I'm owed this. Like, I don't have to win. I've got to just be here, and I should be getting the same thing as everyone else.
Right. I should start from the top and not climb my way from the bottom. And that's the attitude that a lot of our young people have today.
Entitlement.
That they're completely entitled. And the things that, we should be entitled to, they have made like it's a taboo. It's like if you believe that way, you're a right wing
nut job. You're a Nazi fascist piece of shit. Yeah.
And that's what's sad is our Constitution, says that, as American citizens, we have certain rights, and that our government, should be led by the people. The government shouldn't lead the people. The people need to lead the government.
But we've already strayed so far from that. I mean, what scares me about what's going on just in our world in general is, I'm trying to think the best way to say this without pissing a bunch of people off.
Right.
I guess I can just say it and fuck them. If you don't like it, I don't care. I'm just going to tell it how it is. What's happened with the world is, instead of worrying about the rights we have, because rights are a muscle. If you don't flex your muscles, what do? They lose, right? Right. They turn into fat. You don't have muscle, you get brittle, So if you don't flex these rights, but you're sacrificing your rights for comfortability, and I feel what scares me so much about our country as a whole right now is people are more worried about comfortability than they are about their God-given rights.
I agree.
God-given rights, quote unquote God-given rights. The thing is, let's just take the pandemic, for example. Okay. Never in our history of the United States has there been a mandate that's come down and has mandated people get a jab. I'm not the word itself will get you banned, so we're going to call it jab. But that'll get you they're like, hey, you're going to get this jab, or you're going to lose the ability to feed your family. You're not going to have a job anymore. You won't be able to travel. You won't be able to go to a grocery store.
Right. And you can't even run your business. You can't open your business. You're a spreader. You're this, you're that. And in this country, you're right. That's never happened before.
No.
And and the thing is I believe it was a test.
Yeah. You think it was?
I believe it was a test to see how far they could push the American people. To be able to have more control.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Once they get their dirty little fucking fingers on you, they don't give it up.
Right.
They're never going to give up. If they can get the control, they're never going to give it up.
Well, I mean, it starts with the everyday laws that you pass.
Yeah.
Okay. Like the seatbelt law. The seatbelt law wasn't passed for safety. It was passed because you have the automobile industry and the insurance industry arguing over, the penny pinchers, the insurance industry saying, we need airbags in all the cars, and they went to Congress, and Congress did a negotiation that seatbelts were already in the car, and we will put it out under guidelines of safety to appease the insurance companies, appease the automobile industries, so that neither one of them, because automobile industries were saying, hey, the markets are too soft, our cars won't bear the extra cost of the airbags.
Yeah.
So in order to make it happen, and it pleased a lot of people, and I'm not saying seatbelts aren't good.
Yeah, but they should be a choice.
But they should be a choice. And every little right, that's where I'm going here, is every little right that they take away from us in the guise of safety takes us further and further and further away from our constitutional rights and our freedom.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point.
And that's what this COVID part is. It's another right taken away from our freedom.
Well, you can see direct parallel. I'm glad you brought up seatbelts, because you can see direct parallels from what happened during COVID versus versus the seatbelt. Okay, you've got something that they're preaching that they're doing it for the safety of others,
right?
Okay, but it affects no one but the person doing it,
right?
So the seatbelt, who dies if they don't wear a seatbelt?
The person not wearing a
fucking seatbelt, right?
Right.
Okay, who dies, or who's affected by getting the vaccine? The person who gets the vaccine, whether they want it or not, whoever gets the vaccine, because they touted under it, they were like, well, if you get it, you won't be able to spread it. You won't be able to get it. And both were proven false.
Right.
They openly admit this now. This isn't controversial at all.
Right. There's so much that they're openly admitting now that they were banning doctors, threatening to cut their license if they come out against what the CDC was saying. And it's proven fact that the CDC was lying through their teeth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just look at Anthony Fauci.
Yes.
I mean, have you read the book, The Real Anthony Fauci?
No, I haven't. But
if you want to lose hope, read that, because it tells you exactly what he is. He's nothing but a panderer for the pharmaceutical companies. And that's what he is. He's a spokesperson. Whenever he's on TV and he's talking about himself in a third fucking person, going, if you don't believe in Anthony Fauci, then you don't believe in science.
Right.
What kind of pompous asshole do you have to be?
Oh, I know what pompous asshole I think he is, but if I say it, I could probably be banned off of everything.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, to me, an automatic red flag is if I ever hear someone talk about themselves in a third person, I'm like, you're a fucking sleazebag. Yep. And the fact that he had the gall, the balls, and the backing to be able to go up on TV, look at the American people, and say that to them.
And he's the highest paid bureaucratic butthole that we have in our country. He makes more than the president.
I know. Yes. But that's just on paper. Now imagine if you really get behind the scenes and you look, and all the money switching hands behind the lobbying and the bribery.
Oh, yeah.
How much money do you think Pfizer gave him? How much money do you think Johnson & Johnson?
Well, and that's the sad part. It's just not him. It's our whole political system.
Yes.
From the lowest city political system to the highest level.
Well, that's where it starts. It starts at the city level.
Right.
But the thing is, these sleazebags, they get in there, they're good at talking. They're we promise you this, we promise you that. I can fix it. They make you believe it, and then they work their way up. They go from mayor to senator.
Yeah. The problem is with fixing it is somebody could have very good intentions of going in and trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
But when you get in there, you've got so many against you that if you try to speak up and do what your constituents say that they want and things, they blackball you.
Yeah.
Marjorie Greene.
Greene. Who's she?
She was, I think she's a senator or congressman from, I believe, Colorado or someplace like that. I mean, she went in and she started speaking her truth, right? Mm-hmm. And next thing you know, the Democrats are all over her saying she's with QAnon and all of this stuff. And, and they, have really pushed at her since the day she stepped in. And when that happens, you can't get nothing accomplished because you're constantly fighting for yourself.
Well, let's just, honestly, I'm taking it back again, but let's go back to the 2016 election whenever Donald Trump got elected. Okay. Right. the Republicans, they had the House, they had the Senate,
Mhm.
they had the presidency.
Right.
And what did the Republicans do under
Nothing.
Trump? Fucking nothing.
Nothing.
But guess what they're saying now? Oh, get us in. We're going to fix this. We're going to do.
Right.
All they do is politics is so short-minded and short-sighted that they make the same promises every 4 years.
Well, it's about money. You know, when a congressman is in Congress, you know, in order to be in committees and things and rise up in the ranks, he has to gain so many donations. They go into a room where they have to make phone calls and get donations and make promises. And the more promises you make, the deeper you go into where you have to back your donators to where
your lobbyists.
You can't get anything accomplished outside of what the lobbyists pay you to do.
Exactly.
So, I mean, they sell out, you know.
That's the perfect, right there. You hit the nail on the fucking head. They sell out.
Yeah.
They sell out. And the thing is, the only way to get the corruption out of politics is to take money out of politics.
Right.
No politician should be richer.
Well,
whenever they get out.
I agree. How are they richer? How is a politician that goes in and they make $170,000 a year and they're all but broke when they go in and they come out as multimillionaires? Oh. Biden is a prime example.
Yeah.
You know, he's been nothing but a politician his whole life, making.
He's done shit. He sponsored 2 bills in his life.
Right. And the bills that he sponsored were, you know, to benefit the credit card companies and
exactly
and things.
And the crime bill.
Yeah.
You know, the sweeping crime act.
Yeah.
What
the 1995 Clinton Crime Act.
Yeah.
I think it was 95 in the 90s there. And he was the biggest backer of that they, you know.
Well, they're directly the reason a lot of black
people went to jail.
Yes, because of this sweeping and the war on drugs. They've lost it. You know,
I don't think they've ever tried to win it.
Yeah, well, that's like the CIA. They were bringing in cocaine whenever their plane crashed. I don't remember. I don't know much about. I wish Emily was over there, because usually what happens when we're talking about something, she'll pull it up and be able to read us off like what happened, so we can talk about it better. But since we're kind of going blind, I'm going to just put the disclaimer: we don't know what the fuck we're talking about. We're just here. We're talking.
Yeah, this is our opinion.
Exactly. This is our opinion. If you take this as fact, that's on you, not on us. Okay.
Right.
But the thing is, there is so much money in the drug industry. Okay. Let's take Afghanistan, for example. Do you know what drug grows in abundance in Afghanistan? Opium.
Yeah.
And what do Americans love more than anything?
And you know something also is very big abundance in Afghanistan? They've got the largest natural gas pipeline in the world.
Yep.
You know, and I was back in the before 9/11, about 3 years before 9/11, I went to West Virginia and I took the train there and back. Okay. And they put you with if you're there by yourself, they set you with somebody during your breakfast or dinner or whatever. If you're by yourself, I got sat with this gentleman, and I can't remember his name. I wish I did, but he, you know, after about 2 days of talking to him and everything, it seemed like we got set with each other every day there for, you know, 2 days on the ride. And he told me, he said, Scotty, he said, you know, he was retiring from the CIA and he had been in Afghan, Iraq, and all of that. 3 years before 9/11, he told me there'll be a major event in the United States that will put us at war in the Middle East. He told me that it was 2 or 3 years before 9/11.
That's fucking heavy. The fact that possibly the blueprints were already laid for that. And, you know, you talking directly about the CIA. Let's just take the Bushes, for example.
Right.
Who was the director of the CIA?
George Bush Sr. was the director of CIA for years.
Exactly.
You know, and this gentleman, he was an older gentleman, and he told me, he said, he told me, he said, he was the one told me about Afghanistan and having the biggest pipeline in the world. You know, he said they want control of the pipeline, they want control of the opium market. And in Iraq, he said that they had just discovered the largest oil, he said, deposit. In that it was even bigger than Saudi Arabia.
Holy shit.
Is what he told me. He said, and
they want it.
They want it.
Yeah. Well, that's like, you know, okay, we're kind of switching gears here, but still staying on the same subject. It'll
Right.
make sense in a second. But, you know, what's going on with Russia and Ukraine right now?
Mm-hmm.
Crazy shit. All right. But if you go back, okay, you know, I served in the Air Force. I was Security Forces, 23rd Security Force Squadron out of Moody Air Force Base. And then I was at Creech, Nevada for a little bit. If you look, man, I lost my train of thought. It's been a long day. Okay. If you look, son of a bitch. What were we? I just lost my whole train of thought. What were we talking
Well,
about?
what we were talking about is the deposits. And then you brought up Ukraine and the differences between the Middle East and the pipeline and the oil and the opium
That's right.
trade, you know, and then the combination of Russia and Ukraine and why we're in Ukraine and why we're, you know, looking to upgrade. We don't want Russia to take over Ukraine because it is one of the largest feed grain wheat production.
What is it? 30%?
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
You know, and then not only that, the ports down at the ocean. I don't remember what town it is or anything, but I was watching the news the other night, and they were talking about the strategic, you know, that part of the water and the land. A lot of trade goes through there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That what is it? Is it the Bering Sea? Bering Strait?
I think it might be, but I'm not sure exactly what
Black
it
Sea,
is.
Black Sea. I think it's the Black Sea.
But there's
because that's where the ports are for the grain and everything, which Russia just bombarded it with bombs. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did, and I haven't watched the news today because I've been busy working on insurance all day.
They blew it the fuck up. I mean, like first they backed out of this grain deal, and then they started launching missiles. Okay. Anyway, I'm back on track now. But what I was going to say about the Ukraine-Russia war, you know, everyone's like, oh no, we're fighting Russia, we're fighting China. Dude, we've been doing this for 30 years. Okay. Whenever my buddies were in Iraq and Afghanistan, they were fighting ISIS, they were fighting Taliban, they were fighting Al Qaeda. Well, guess what kind of weapons they had? They had
Russian weapons,
yeah,
Chinese weapons.
So Russia was fighting a proxy war against the United States through these rebel groups, just like we are fighting a proxy war with
Ukraine. Yes. Right? Yes.
So this is nothing new. Is it scary? Yeah, it's never been like this in history, and I think we're the closest we've ever been to a nuke. Well,
the scariest part is how powerful China has grown through our money.
Yeah.
You know, through our companies propping them up. And that thing, Capta, was the worst thing that ever happened to this country.
Yes.
You know, that was the start of it.
Yeah, and we're right back in it. You know, we got out of it back in, 2016?
Yeah, well, when Trump went in, he got us out of a lot of that, and he put tariffs on China and this and that, and we were starting to pull out of it. Our economy was the best that it's ever been in years. You know, our people, our minority people had better jobs. They had better things going on. They were having growth finally, you know, and now all of a sudden it's the old Democratic way of thinking, and you're talking to somebody that grew up Democrat.
Absolutely.
My grandfather sat on the West Virginia House of Delegates for like 8 years during the Depression. You know, my whole family was Democrat from our whole lives.
Yeah.
You know, if you talked anything outside of Democrat in my household, you know, you just didn't know what you were talking about. But, you know, but over the years, you know, I've opened my eyes, you know, and to be honest with you, the Democrats aren't much better than Republicans.
No.
You know, each one has their agendas, and when they're in, they only focus on their agendas. They don't focus on the American people's need.
No.
They focus on their agendas, and that's what we got to change in this country.
Yeah, but the thing is, to change it, you're going to have to take money out because their agendas directly align with the money coming in.
Well, my proposal is any donations coming in for, you know, to be elected and for an election should go into a general fund, and anybody running for president should get a percentage of that fund, equal percentage. That way you take away this person having $100 million and this person have $20 million to run. If everybody had equal money to run, then nobody could buy nobody.
You know, that would be a great idea. But another one is why are we allowed to have I'm just going to use Republican as an example. Okay. So if a Republican president is in, okay, our government has a series of checks and balances to make sure everything stays in check, right? So why, whenever we go top down on on the presidency, on senates, on House majority races, all this stuff, why do we have say, I'm just using Republicans as an example, Republican president? Okay, he gets to pick who his vice president is. Wouldn't it be smarter, in my opinion, and I'm a dumbass, I don't know much,
Right.
but wouldn't it be smarter in my opinion, I think this, to me, it'd be smarter if you voted on a Republican, or you vote on the president, Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. You vote on them, but you also vote on the vice president, because that gives it a chance to have checks and balances where they're not putting yes men in there so they can get their agendas passed,
Right.
whether it be right or left.
Right. The problem I see is if you did that, you would always have the vice president with one belief trying to undermine the president.
Yeah, I agree, but there's honestly though, with everything going on, like with this presidency right now, how great would it be to have someone underneath him saying, "No, dumbass."
Yeah.
No.
Well, it would be, but they put a I don't know what you call her, a bongo girl.
Yeah.
If you watch Gutfeld, every time she talks, they put bongos on around her. Yeah. And it's hilarious.
Yeah.
But my thing is the first place that we have to start is with term limits on Congress and Senate.
Yeah.
That's the first place to start.
That's a good stepping stone.
Yeah, that's a good starting
never
point.
Happen, though.
Well, because the reason it'll never happen is because the people that have to make it happen are the direct people that it affects, that have changed a civil service job into a career.
Yeah.
Congress was not meant to be a lifetime job.
No.
It was meant to be our ancestors.
It's a duty.
Meant to be. It was a duty. You went and you served your duty, and you went back home and you did your job.
Yep.
Now, as our rights, we should have the right, and we do have the right. If we have something we want to talk to our congressman or our senator about, we should be able to call up, make an appointment.
Yeah.
It might take me 3 months to get in, but I should be able to make an appointment to go in and sit down and talk to my congressman about my concerns. Mm-hmm. But I've been trying for 3 years to get a sit down with Jason Smith and cannot do it.
Now I've reached out to him too. He don't care.
Megan, his assistant, it's great. I've gotten a lot accomplished for people in my community by working with Megan, his assistant. That's the same with our state representative for our area. His assistants, Ashley, their assistants are great. And I can talk to them. I mean, I've got both of them on speed dial.
But at the end of the day, you're still just talking to their assistants.
Right.
So how much of that is getting relayed to the congressman?
I believe everything's getting relayed, but yeah, I do. I truly believe everything's getting relayed, but that's where it stops.
Yeah.
Because what we're talking about to them are little problems.
Yeah.
They're nobodies, but every one of those little problems lead up to the bigger problems.
Well, see, that to me, that's the problem right there, is that mindset of them thinking that this is a small problem. Okay. It might be a small problem on the grander scale of things to them, but is it a big problem to that person that's affecting their life at that point?
I worked commercial windows and doors for 10 years for EFCO, and I did warranty technician work. So I'd have to go out on a job where $100 million building and their windows were messed up, a truckload or two of them. And I would have to go out and then I would have to talk to the person in charge, and I'd have to calm them to let them know, one, I was there to help them get back on track, get back on schedule. But what I used to tell them all the time is, I don't care if our windows are 99.9.9% perfect. If your windows are messed up, that's all you care about.
Exactly.
Yep. And so that's, in my insurance business, that's how I try to approach everything.
Mm-hmm.
Any of my customers, every one of them has my cell phone number, and I try to return everybody's calls within 48 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell them, if I don't return your call, I didn't get your message.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because phone service sucks.
Yeah. Especially around here.
Right.
I mean, we're lucky. Even in town, you know, you're lucky to get a bar.
Well, and just like we were talking about earlier, internet around here.
Oh, it sucks.
Okay. It totally sucks. And what's sad is Obama, which is one of the good things that he did try to do,
Mm-hmm.
he gave like over $1 billion for rural internet.
Mm-hmm.
And I was told by a gentleman at CenturyLink that works for them, and I won't mention his name. I don't want him in trouble, but
it's always best to keep the names out, you know?
Right. But he told me what they did with that money is they upgraded all of their services in the bigger city areas, not the rural areas. Mm-hmm. And then they ran fiber out and stubbed it up in rural areas and claimed they ran out of money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, that kind of is a direct correlation to, and I know this is kind of weird to connect these two, but if you look like the homeless problem, okay.
Right. Yeah.
In LA, you know, you got Skid Row. Oh, Jesus Christ. I mean, you've got.
Oh, I've been there. I've seen it personally.
You know, there is more homeless people on Skid Row than the whole population of Denver, Colorado.
I believe that.
That's wild.
Yep.
But I was listening to an interview about a guy who was involved with the homeless problem and trying to fix it. And one of the questions was, what are they doing to try to fix it? And the guy answered, he said, well, that's the problem right there. He said, you just asked the $1 million question. He said, but they're paying people to fix this problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if they fix the problem.
Where's the money going?
Well, not that, but.
Where's all the jobs go away?
Exactly. Their job is to make their job obsolete. Right. So why would they do that?
Right. And that falls right back into Medicaid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Medicaid, you know, my belief in Medicaid is a very needed source.
Absolutely.
Okay. And I'm not downing anything on that, but the way they do Medicaid is totally ass backwards.
Okay.
Okay.
What do you mean?
Well, like right now, if you make a piddling of money,
mm-hmm.
you know, you can't qualify for any benefit whatsoever.
If you make what?
A piddling of money. I mean, the money, the most that you can make to qualify for Medicaid is nothing and not enough to live on.
And yes.
So if a husband and wife are making minimum wage,
mm-hmm.
they could not qualify for any Medicaid benefits.
Holy shit. You're shitting me.
No. If both of them are working, they don't make enough to qualify.
Oh my God.
Okay. But two people making minimum wage ain't enough to pay rent, car insurance, cars, you know, to live.
Especially with inflation right now.
Right. So what happens, and I fell in this a few years ago myself, it's probably 30 years ago,
mm-hmm.
but my wife and I, when we first moved out here in Missouri, I was working for Sequel Motors in Willow here.
Mm-hmm.
And we were also working at Oliver Patterson's charcoal plant on NN.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Sequel closed and Oliver closed because they did an upgrade to where they had to put afterburners on the charcoal kilns, and Oliver just put him out of business because it was $500,000 per kiln.
Yeah.
He couldn't afford that.
No.
So, you know, we both lost our jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I went out and we tried to get help. So we went on Medicaid and everything. So I took a minimum wage job. My wife was pregnant, going to college.
Mm-hmm.
I took a minimum wage job, just my minimum wage job. I reported it like I was supposed to. Before I got my first check, they disqualified me. And what I ended up doing was making a phone call, and I went back to West Virginia and worked there for 6 months away from my family
mm-hmm.
just to make ends meet.
And you know, that's a common story around here. You
right.
know, there's so many fathers and mothers who travel just to provide because there's no money in this.
Right. I did it 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, I traveled all over the country.
How hard was that on you as far as being away from family?
It was terrible.
Right.
You know, I mean, and rooming with people that you couldn't stand.
Yeah.
You know, I worked with a bunch of drunks.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they would drink till 3 a.m. and then not want to get up for work.
Yeah.
You know, and then, you know, it's like, and if you call the office and tell on them, well, then you got to live with these people.
Yeah, they might beat your ass.
You know,
or
I mean,
hold a blanket over you and beat you with soap, or you never know.
I mean,
people are crazy.
Yeah, I wasn't worried about that, but you know, you don't want to live like that.
I'd be fucking worried about it.
You know, so but back to what I was saying though, if they would, I believe if they would take minimum wage and make the cost of minimum wage or the minimum wage to where you have to make that much to get help, and then take it from that level. And so that would take people and force them and help them take the minimum wage jobs. Then they're paying back into taxes with their minimum wage job, and then help them with childcare, rent, you know, but require them to go through either a trade school or a further education program. But then when you do that, on the flip side, the government has to come on the other side and have jobs for these people coming out the other end.
Yeah.
You know, and that falls back to our education problem.
Yes. Well,
you know, because they'll push 100,000 people in because they say we need nurses for 20,000 jobs.
The thing is, can we even call it education anymore? Or is it to a point where we have to call it indoctrination?
It's both.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they educate to indoctrinate.
Honestly, that's perfect.
You know,
educate to indoctrinate. Yes. You hit it on the head. I mean, any Ivy League, and not even Ivy League, but any credible school in like the SEC or NCAA,
Columbia University in Missouri, you know, I mean, you
imagine
any of them.
Imagine trying to go to one of those schools, being from a small conservative town, holding those small conservative values that they do, you know, and then happen to fight tooth and nail.
Right.
As far, because I have a personal story. It wasn't me. It was someone I know. I'm not going to say who it is. But they were going to school in Springfield. What is it? They started in Bolivar at SBU. She transferred to MSU. Is that the one in Springfield, MSU?
Yeah.
Okay. She was going to MSU, and it was during election 2016, 2007, no, 2015. It was election year. But anyway, she had a Trump 2020 pin on her backpack. Well, the teacher pulled her, or the professor, the educated, high learning, valuable person here, they pulled her aside and were trying to tell her everything that is wrong with her supporting Donald Trump. She said, you are betraying your sex, you're betraying your gender, you're betraying, you know, all these women, and like legitimately made her feel like shit over this. Okay. Well, fast forward, she had to do an essay, to like a big chapter essay review type thing, to final graduation or whatever, to get the credit. It was like the last thing. Right. Well, she did her homework. She wrote this essay. She turned it in. She got an F on it. And she said, how'd I get an F? And the professor wouldn't answer her. She said, whatever I need to fix, I will. I said, but can you give me at least one more try? No. So she took that essay, took it to the dean, let him read it. He said, why? I don't see why she failed you. Well, he went to her, talked to her. And the whole reason because a conservative should not get a degree and be put into the workforce. That's what her reasoning was.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Yeah, and seeing that professor should have been fired right there.
On the spot. But
on the spot.
Tenure has made it to where these shitty ass professors, these shitty ass educators can get into a position. They can keep their mouth shut for 5 years. All they got to do, keep their mouth shut. And then after that 5 years, you're untouchable. And then they can spew that shit from their mouth.
Well, what we need to do is teach conservative people not to send their kids there.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, cut their money. Well, you know, and that goes back to what I was getting at on the Medicaid situation. If we took it to where people could take the minimum wage jobs and then give them help, educate them, and work them into a job to where they start increasing in pay.
Yep.
And then once they get that job, then every 3 months, cut their benefits by a quarter and wean them off.
That's a good one.
So what happens then is, right now, the way it's set up to fail. It's set up to where if you fall into the system and you try to get out of the system, you don't build a foundation underneath of you. And what happens when you build a building with a foundation?
Crumbles down.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what we got going on. And that's why we have 5 generation 5, 6 generation welfare people right now is because nobody has ever taught them how to build a foundation to get out from underneath of it. And the government hasn't set it up to build a foundation. So we built our Medicaid up to where we are helping them build a foundation underneath their family to where they have a lift up, a hand up instead of a hand out.
Yes.
In 10 generations, we could get rid of 90% of welfare.
Yeah.
But see,
it requires the work.
Well, not only that, it requires the work. We didn't get into this overnight. We're not going to get out of it overnight. And look at all the jobs that will disappear out of social services.
Exactly. And, they're going to protect those at all costs.
Right.
But I do have a question. I've been forgetting it and I want to ask it now. Has Medicaid or Medicare? Is that what we're talking about?
Medicaid is what we've been talking about. And then there's Medicare, which is another whole people, problem. Right.
Okay. Medicaid. Has it been restructured since the minimum wage has been raised? Because doesn't that automatically, if they're automatically making more money because of minimum wage going up, has it been restructured to take that into account?
Well, what happens is generally what happens is the amount of money you're allowed to make doesn't keep up with the minimum wage. So what happens with a lot of people is that they get paid a little bit too much. If they go a quarter over what the maximum, they lose all benefits immediately. They just cut them off. That's what's going on with Medicare. Every year with Medicare, with the exception of this year, because this year they had the freeze in for COVID. Okay. They just released that freeze. They're saying over 100 million people is expected to be dropped off of Medicaid. And most of them are our seniors.
Yeah. That can't afford
to do anything because for the first time in I don't know how long, as far as I can remember, this is the first year that their Social Security got a raise, that their Medicaid Part B didn't take it over.
What is Medicare Part B?
Medicare Part B is the part of you got Part A, B, C, and D in Medicare. Medicare Part A is what you pay for. That's what they call the free Medicare. It's not free at all. You paid for it your whole life in your check. Okay. So it's not free. No. I mean, this bull crap of they're saying that's free Medicare.
It's not free.
You paid for that your whole life.
Yeah. Just like Social Security.
Right.
You paid it in.
Right. So Part B was never voted on by Congress. So there's a premium for Part B.
Okay. Now Part B wasn't voted on.
But wasn't voted on by Congress. It wasn't taxed.
Okay.
Okay. So it doesn't come out of your check every month, every week.
Gotcha.
Okay. So they have a premium put on Part B. At this point in time, it's $164.90.
Is that per year?
Per month.
Per month. Okay.
Okay. Out of a senior's Social Security check.
And that's a lot compared to, because you don't make much on Social Security.
Right. So what happens is this is the first year that it's ever gone down that I can remember.
Okay.
It was like 172 last year. It dropped down to 164 this year. Gotcha. So put a little bit of money back into the people's check. And then their Social Security got a raise like 2% or something like this year. I'm not sure the exact amount.
Yeah.
So they actually got a little bit of a bump this year.
Okay.
But now what's going to happen is now that as of April, they start reevaluating Medicaid. So all of these people are now getting these letters from Medicaid wanting to know what their income is.
Gotcha.
So it's going to cause a lot of people, even on Social Security, to lose their Medicaid full benefit. It'll cause a lot of them that keep their benefit, but then they'll get a big, what they call a spend down put on them.
What's that? What's a spend down?
A spend down is the amount of money that you have to pay or meet each month in order to activate your Medicaid. So for example, if you have and some of these people have a $700-800 spend down. So that means they have to spend $800 a month out of their own personal money
to a doctor,
to the doctors, to the hospitals, to this, to
something
that.
Something medical related.
Yeah, medical or drug related. Okay. Drugs count in that. They have to spend that amount of money.
Pharmaceutical, right? They don't let you recreational drugs?
No, not recreational. But what they have to do is they have to spend that amount of money before their Medicaid will kick in.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm tracking.
So, but if you're only making $900, $1,200 a month on Social Security, you know, and that, you know, you're borderline.
That's
right.
all.
Yeah, you're borderline right there. Anything much over 1,200, you don't get any help.
No shit.
Yeah.
If your Social Security check is more than $1,200 a month, you don't get help.
It's not. It's somewhere in that area.
There's a line.
There's a line.
Okay, so you go over this line.
You go over this line, then your Medicaid is taken away.
Holy shit!
Right.
So if you've worked your whole life and paid into Social Security for
no, well, your Social Security's still there. It's your Medicaid benefit that the state program Medicaid
because
your
income,
Social Security, right? Because your Social Security income went above that cutoff.
Yeah.
Then you lose your Medicaid. Now, what happens to people that lose their Medicaid, like if they're on an Advantage plan, for example, you have an HMO, you have a PPO Advantage plan, and then you have what's called a DSNAP dual enrollment.
Okay, before we go any further, explain what Advantage plan means.
Okay, Advantage plan is Part C of Medicare. Okay. And what it is it's private insurance companies that offer you programs that have to meet or exceed Medicare benefit as far as what Medicare says they have to cover.
Okay.
So Medicare A and B, Medicare A covers your stuff in the hospital, hospice, medical equipment, things like that. Medicare B has $164 monthly payment, $164.90. Then you have like a $200 and some deductible that you have to meet before it'll pay anything. And then you're responsible for 20% of anything that passed that 80% on Medicare Part B. So you're responsible for 20% and there's no cap. Okay. So, and then you also have to buy a drug plan. Now, if you don't get Medicare Part B when you turn 65 and you don't have a viable insurance, if you ever decide to go back and get your Medicare Part B, you get penalized 10% per year for every year that you didn't take it out.
Holy shit.
Okay. If you decide you don't need your Part D, say you're 65, you don't take any drugs. Why do I need a drug plan?
Yeah.
They tell you these are optional. They tell you could be penalized. They downplay it.
Yeah. So basically it's one of those voluntold things where you're like, oh, you don't have to get it, but if you don't, you're fucked.
But if you don't, you could be penalized.
Gotcha.
Okay. But what the penalties are is Part B is 10% per year for every year you don't get it. Part D, it's 1% every month.
Oh, shit.
And it goes off of the national average of the cost of drug plans.
Okay. So
you take the national average of the cost of drug plans, multiply that by 1%, which usually comes up about 35 cents or so. And then you multiply that by the number of months that you didn't get it. So if you're at 65 and you're at 75, when you finally get a drug where you have to buy it, that multiplies that every month for that many months. And that's what determines your penalty. Now, this penalty wouldn't be bad if it was a one-time thing, but it's not. It's a lifetime penalty. Till the day you die, you pay that penalty every month on top of the cost of your drug plan.
Fuck.
And Part B is the same way. It's not a one-time penalty. It's a lifetime penalty.
So once it's tacked on, you're paying it.
Right. Once it's tacked on, you're paying it. I've got a veteran right now. Now, if you have the VA, okay, and so the VA is a viable drug plan.
Okay.
I've got a veteran right now, and he's not the first one that I've had to fight for, that they're trying to penalize because they said there was a gap in coverage. According to CMS, which is Medicare. Okay. I personally called Medicare on his behalf with him there. Medicare tells us he didn't have any penalty. He didn't have any gap. But yet when I call back to the insurance company, which federal law requires them to check CMS, and if there's a penalty, they have to enforce it. Okay. So, but the insurance company is saying he's got a penalty gap. the Medicare is telling me he doesn't have a penalty gap. And so now,
So what do you do then?
well, it took me 9.5 months for the last one to fix it. And finally, I got Jason Smith's office involved. And this is why I told you with Megan, it does go.
Yeah.
Because Megan helped me get him taken care of and got his money reimbursed.
Oh, Megan's going to love you.
Yes. Megan's great. Okay.
There's going to be a lot of people calling her now.
But what I'm saying is now we got another one, I mean, this is probably the fourth one that I've had like this in the last 3 years, and
the thing is, if he would have just rolled over and accepted it, he would have been paying it.
Right. And that's what they hope for.
Yeah.
They hope for people to give up.
Yep.
The thing is what happens when this happens is they send you a letter that it says, you have to prove that you had a viable coverage.
Okay.
But what happens is they send this letter, U.S. snail mail. How many times have you gotten somebody else's mail in your mailbox?
Oh my God. Or not got the right mail.
Or not got your mail and your mail with somebody else's mailbox.
Yeah.
So if they don't get this letter, then all of a sudden, 4 or 5 months later, they get this thing telling them that they're going to be penalized and their penalty is going to be this, and this.
And a lot of people, honestly, there's a lot of people out there who just don't have any fight in them, and they're just like, fuck, that's what they're telling me to do. So
right.
That's what I'm doing.
And most of the penalties, a lot of times, are only like $6 a month or something like that. But you figure $6 a month for the rest of your life, that's a lot of money.
Yep.
Especially for somebody that's on a fixed income.
Yeah.
And so my question to Jason Smith, and I wrote him for 3 years. I emailed his office, everything for 3 years. And finally, after 3 years, I got a letter from Congress explaining to me why they put the penalty on. And I wrote him back and I said, I understand why you put the penalty on.
You're not hearing my question.
And what you're saying here, but, if Obamacare, and they declared Obamacare unconstitutional to penalize either your taxes or whatnot in order for not having insurance, how come the poorest population we have in our country is still getting penalized?
Yeah.
Because they can't afford to buy something you want them to buy.
Yeah, exactly.
Or they don't see a need in it at the time that you wanted to buy it.
Well, that's the scary thing about socialism.
Right.
That's a socialist act right there.
Yes. So, the thing is, that's what I was saying earlier. I've been trying for several years now to have a sit down with Jason one-on-one and talk this out. How
about you guys have a sit down on here?
Yeah, I'd love to.
That'd be awesome.
Jason? I would love to.
Jason, come on. I want to get you guys on to talk about this. I think it's very important, and election time's coming up. It could help you or it could hurt you if you don't do it.
And I'm not calling him out enough, but maybe I am.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I mean, it's time that our Congress starts looking at how the bills that they pass directly affect the working class people.
Well, that's what they never think of.
No.
They don't live in the same kind of world we live in.
No.
They're not affected by the laws that they pass.
Right. And most of your congressmen and senators have never been poor.
Yeah, exactly.
Never. They've never worked for minimum wage or just barely over minimum wage. They don't know what it's like to struggle.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. They don't understand the world that they legislate.
Right.
And, that's what pisses me off so much is that it doesn't matter if it's local government, state government, federal government. It doesn't matter. All of them do the same shit. They tout the same thing, but they have no idea what's actually going on within the household of the average American worker.
Right.
They have no idea. And them people, and I'm calling them, them people have never been affected by the legislation that they pass because it doesn't affect their class.
And not only that, most of the legislation they pass, they exclude themselves from it, which is illegal to start with.
Yeah.
It is against the Constitution to make Congress to pass any law that they exclude themselves out of.
But there's no outrage about it because the American people just lay over and take it.
Right. I'm sending outrage right now. I'm telling people it's time to start getting outraged about this stuff.
Yeah.
Don't let them take our gun rights away from us, or Second Amendment rights away from us, or First Amendment rights away from us.
Oh, our First Amendment right is under attack more than it's ever been.
I know, and we're out here, and we're what we're doing right now is we're enacting our First Amendment right.
Exactly.
I mean, we have the right to say whatever we want as long as we're not hurting somebody else.
But see, honestly, if you look, and I agree with you, we should never say anything that hurts anyone else. I've said that a lot of times on here. But honestly, the First Amendment right,
it really doesn't matter.
It doesn't fucking matter.
You're right. You have the right to say whatever you want to say.
You have the right to offend everyone equally.
Right. And I have the right to, if you offend me, I have the right not to be around you.
Exactly.
I have the right to tell you to go screw yourself and walk away.
Exactly. But see, that's what's been lost is because for some reason this narrative has been pushed, and I don't know if it's a psyop, as in they're wanting to push this narrative just like they did with the Second Amendment. Well, the Second Amendment doesn't include hunting rifles. It includes all weapons.
Well, the Second Amendment, if you look at the Constitution, there's a part in the Constitution, and they talk about it actually in the movie National Treasure.
Mm-hmm.
And it states in the Constitution that I don't know the exact words to it, but it's basically if you have the power, you not only have the power, but you have the responsibility that if a government becomes tyrant,
mm-hmm.
to, put the government in check, and if necessary, overthrow that government
mm-hmm.
and start a new government. It states it right in our Constitution.
That is what it says. Now, will it ever get to a point where we have to do that?
I hope not.
I hope not. I hope not.
I hope not.
But the thing is, there's a reason they attack there's a reason that Amendment 1, 2, and 3 are what they are.
Right.
You have your freedom of speech.
That's your most powerful 3 amendments.
Exactly. But there's a reason that those 3 are under attack the most.
Yeah, because they protect us.
They're scared of them.
Yes.
Because if you wanted to enact it, the law's on your side.
Well, I got a question for you. Let's talk about it January 6th.
Let's talk about that.
January 6th was a group of people, and this is debatable,
mm-hmm.
But it's been proven, and some people will debate that, but it's been proven that they had FBI, they had Antifa members from Portland
mm-hmm.
that is supported by George Soros and Bill Gates.
Yeah.
Okay, in the crowd, instigating the crowd.
Yes, agent saboteurs.
Right.
Or, what are they called? Agent provocateurs.
Right.
Agent provocateurs.
Okay.
Yes.
So now, because these people went into the Capitol, now, did you notice anybody burning anything down? Yeah, they did break in some doors to get in, but
they were let in.
Yeah, but they are let in, and a lot of them. And the only one that got killed was a girl crawling through a window, unarmed. An unarmed girl, white girl, whatever,
mm-hmm.
but she was unarmed.
Yeah.
But in Portland, they took over a whole city.
Mm-hmm.
They tried to burn down the courthouse, the federal courthouse with people in it.
Yep. They started their own little government for
They started their own little group.
Which is an act of
terrorism. Not only that, in D.C., they attacked a church, the oldest church in D.C., and burnt it down.
No shit.
They attacked the White House wall. They damaged one of the oldest guard gates in the White House.
No shit.
They rushed Trump to the bunker.
Really?
And Nancy Pelosi and them laughed about Trump being pushed to the bunker. They thought it was the funniest thing in the world until the Capitol and their butts was on the line. And all of a sudden now it's an insurrection.
Yeah.
Well, if the Capitol was an insurrection,
mm-hmm. then
why wasn't Antifa and Black Lives Matter and all of them treated as insurrectionists when they attacked the White House, when they attacked the federal court building?
Mm-hmm.
A federal building is a federal building.
Yeah.
Period.
Exactly. I agree.
If it's government property, and if those people were in fear. Trump was in fear. So if it was in fear of overthrowing the government, why wasn't fear of overthrowing the government when they attacked the White House?
Well, there's a huge hypocrisy within our government.
Right.
The thing is, just look at what's going on right now. Okay. The FBI have released a statement to Congress. Because the Congressional January 6th Insurrection Committee or whatever the hell they are, they wanted FBI to testify. They said, can we get the video footage? They said no, because we have to protect our inside FBI agents.
Did you hear the latest? I was watching Jesse on Fox the other night, and Jesse Waters,
Yeah,
right? Yeah. And he said on there last night that they have, because the cocaine in the White House thing.
Yeah, how the fuck do they not know who did that?
Right. The cocaine in the White House thing, 2 weeks ago, they said that there's no way they could determine whose cocaine it was, and they were ending the investigation.
Yeah, of course they were.
Okay. So Jesse Waters and Fox, under the Freedom of Information Act, requested all video camera footage, all footage of everybody that went into that area of the White House that night. The FBI came back and told them, we can't give you that because it's in the middle of an ongoing investigation. They had just
closed it.
They closed it 2 weeks prior.
Well, I'm sorry, but the most secure building in the world. Okay, apart from probably the Kremlin, because Putin is fucking crazy. He's scared to death. Right. So I'm pretty sure that's pretty secure. Right. But in the United States, the most secure building in the world, they have cameras at there's no dead spots. There is no dead spots in the White House.
I was watching Dan Bongino, and he was an he protected presidents. He was the Secret Service.
Yeah.
Okay. And he said, this is bullcrap.
Yeah.
He said, everybody that comes in the White House gets searched. Bomb dogs, drug dogs.
Yeah.
Every room in the White House, with the exception of maybe the bathrooms or the president's personal quarters, are filmed constantly.
Everything's under surveillance.
There is absolutely no way that somebody did drugs in the library and left their drugs there and it wasn't on camera somewhere.
Exactly. But the thing is, and this has been going on for years, these three-letter agencies, whether it be CIA, DEA, NSA, ATF, whatever, okay? These three-letter agencies, they have a narrative that they are pushing. They have picked a side. We've seen it time and time again. They're against Republican. They're against Trump. They're against not even Trump, but they're just they want to protect who they want to protect.
I mean, and so look at documents.
Our agencies are corrupt now.
Yes, and very much so.
And have you listened to anything that Robert F. Kennedy?
Yeah, I have been watching.
He's a smart motherfucker.
Yeah, he is.
And he does not like these agencies because they killed his family. Okay,
right? Yes.
And I really like what he's saying, but he's right. We need to disband these agencies. One, they're unconstitutional. Two, the Patriot Act has opened the gate for them to be allowed to do this. The NSA was not a thing prior to the Patriot Act.
Right.
9/11 happens, the towers go down, the Patriot Act is enacted,
right.
And then all of a sudden you have the NSA spying on American citizens and not stopping.
How did the gentleman that said he was retiring from the CIA, and he even showed me his ID, okay, how did that gentleman know to tell me 2 to 3 years in advance that there would be a major event in New York that would send us to war in the Middle East?
Yeah. Well, if he was telling the truth, then, that just shows that there is a narrative, that there is a storyline that they're going to follow.
Right.
That's like this Russia-Ukraine thing. I think this was going to happen. I've listened to.
I think they wanted it to happen.
Oh, they did. Of course they did. This is their way of overthrowing Russia.
I looked into. You've heard of the One World Order?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I looked into it years ago, and when I brought it up on the internet years ago, it said it was a right-wing theory.
Oh, everything is.
But they named off all of this stuff that the theory, said was going to happen. But then here it is 15 years later, and everything that theory said was going to happen is happening.
It's coming true.
So where is it? We are in a global. I mean, that's what NAFTA and CAFTA started, was our global society.
Yeah. Well, the thing that scares me the absolute most about what's going on right now is
the border.
Well, no, not even that. But in the globe, we need to worry about Okay, what's going on in Russia? I want to state this before I
Mhm.
go any farther because I don't want people taking me wrong. What's going on in Russia, Ukraine is horrible. I
Yes.
don't think Russia should have invaded.
No.
I don't think, but on the same breath, I do not think. I think NATO has provoked this
Yes.
because NATO, at its core, whenever it was brought to fruition, what was it? It was a peacekeeping treaty.
Right. And it was put together because they said they did not want another large entity country taking over and attacking little countries.
Yes.
And that's what Hitler did.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
he started out taking this little country, that little country, that little country.
Mhm.
And before he knew it, he almost took over the whole world.
Yes. But what freaks me out about everything is because our politicians, our journalists, and the American people are looking at this wrong. They're looking at this as good and bad. Okay, they're looking like Russia bad, America good, Ukraine good. Ukraine has not been good. There was an article in the New York Times back in 2013 talking about how it's the most corrupt country in the world.
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
They have bioengineered weapon labs. But the thing is, here's how NATO provoked it. And this is what pisses me off the most, is because no one talks about this. NATO had an agreement with Russia not to expand to the borders of Russia. Okay. But ever since, we have took in Lithuania, we have taken in Ukraine now, Poland. We're adding these countries and we're getting closer and fucking closer to the Russian border,
yes.
to where Russia feels like what do? They have to do something to protect themselves.
Right.
And I'm not saying Russia's in the right, and I'm not saying, in my opinion, that they should have done this. What I'm saying is, looking at this from Russia's perspective, what would America do if China and Mexico started talking? They got cozy with each other, and he's like, hey,
that's
Mexico.
in the process of happening.
Well, exactly. But think about it. What if China said, hey, Mexico, I want you to become part of the CCP. We're gonna supply you with money. You're gonna get rid of the drug cartel. All you gotta let us do is put intercontinental ballistic missiles on your border.
Right.
What would America do to Mexico?
Bay of the Pigs.
Fucking pave it. They would pave that place.
Yes. Look at Bay of the Pigs in
exactly.
Cuba.
Yes.
I mean, that was the same situation back then.
Yep.
And what is going on now today in Cuba? China is putting bases in Cuba.
Yeah.
Ted Cruz was talking about it.
I haven't heard this.
I was talking. They were talking about it. China is building in Cuba infrastructure. They got military in Cuba now.
They have military.
From what they were saying, they had military presence in Cuba.
No shit.
And not only that, right here in the United States, they've been buying property right and left, and they're putting factories up that are owned by the state of China.
Yeah. Well,
the government.
Well, that's the thing. What happens when they buy up all this land, that they legally own? But at the same time, I guess, looking at it from both sides, why not take China's money now? And then if they do want to do something, say, fuck you, this is ours.
That throws us into World War III.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they are big enough, and they've grown big enough by our money, by our corporation's money, to basically tell the United States, screw you, we don't care about you. We're strong enough now that we'll just smack you around.
Yeah.
And that's how they feel. They have no respect for the United States.
Well, just look at the stuff going on with Taiwan.
Yeah.
That scares me.
And that is only going on because we've got a weak government, socialist government, that is friendly with China.
Yeah.
And all of the corporations are making billions and billions of dollars off of China. And they're keeping their money over there. It's not benefiting the United States.
Did you see a few years ago when John Cena, he called Taiwan a country? And did you hear he fucking made an apology to China in Mandarin?
And I lost respect for him at that point. Course.
But that's the thing. The Hollywood elites. Okay.
Well, look at them now. AI is taking them over.
I know. I love it. I fucking love it. But if you think about it, the Hollywood elites, they're apologists of the Chinese party because that is the biggest money maker is going in and getting your movies in China.
Right.
Do you know that they edit movies out compared to what you see in America versus what you see in China?
Oh yeah, they always have.
Yeah. I never knew that.
Back in the day of Bruce Lee, when Bruce Lee was doing movies, the name of the movie in China was totally different to the name of the movie in the United States.
Yeah, that's fucking wild.
And they totally edited out different things from China to if it was something that was offensive to the Chinese government, they had to do a different scene to appease them.
Well, I mean,
and the same thing's going on today.
Well, just that alone, that shows you that China has a very big influential power over one of our biggest corporations in America,
Yes.
which is the Hollywood industry.
Well,
there's nothing bigger in America than entertainment.
Yep. Entertainment, basketball,
baseball, NFL,
baseball,
all that.
you know, the whole entertainment genre is very influenced, you know, and the money that is involved, you know, they don't care about
Fuck no, they don't care.
patriotism or what's best for our country. You know, Kennedy said years ago, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country.
Yes.
What they could do for our country is tell China,
go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself, China.
Our government needs to do that. You know, Japan at one time back in the 70s, long before you were born, was just like China.
Oh, absolutely.
They had bought parts of the United States. They had done this, and
we put them in their place.
And they got too powerful, and the United States pulled out of China, and we went to Taiwan, out of Japan, and we went to Taiwan, and we started investing in China and different places, and Japan fell right back down in the line because they lost all of the American revenue.
But that's the thing. That's what's really scary about what's going on with Ukraine and Russia right now, is because looking at this, not even from a war standpoint, but let's look at this from an alliance standpoint. Okay, you got China, you got Russia, you got Saudi Arabia now. Excuse me. You got India. Okay. If they form together, then the world currency will not be the US dollar.
Oh, no. They've been trying to change that for years.
And they're going to.
And they're this close.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Once that happens, that, as we were talking 2 years ago about disrupting the Russian economy, that is going to be us.
That will kill our economy.
Yeah. And
that will totally destroy it.
But why are we not preparing for this by, one, bringing jobs back to America, two, opening up an infrastructure?
Well, Trump was trying.
I know. But the thing is, under the current government we have right now, because they are our government, what they should be doing is planning the long term. We don't know what's going to happen with Russia. We don't know what's going to happen with China. We don't know what's going to happen with India and Saudi Arabia.
But you know what?
So hang on, let me get this out.
Okay.
So why are we not trying to move as many factories, as much of our economy and infrastructure back to America? That way we are self-reliant on each other. If something happens, God forbid, where say all trade routes are destroyed, it's disrupted, we don't have this. It's going to be locals taking care of locals on a local level. If we don't have that, we're fucked.
Yes. You know, and royal people, country people like us, will survive.
Yeah. Well, some of us.
You know, but it's the city people that's going to find themselves starving. Yeah. They're going to find themselves in so much trouble because they don't have a way to fend for themselves.
No, they're in concrete.
Yeah.
They can't grow anything in a fucking concrete.
Right. And not only that, you know, most of these bigger cities like LA, Chicago, and these places have restricted to people's rights down to where they can't have guns. You know, I mean, a lot of them do because, you know, I mean, obviously, you know, Chicago keeps killing each other about every day.
Yeah.
You know, Baltimore, same thing.
And those used to be booming places.
Yes.
The Chicago.
Chicago's beautiful. I love Chicago.
The vehicle industry used to boom, but now it's gone. Yeah. Detroit. Look at Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit is. I was in Detroit a few years ago.
It's scary. It is scary.
And the things that you see in Detroit will blow your mind.
It's so sad. All these huge factory buildings shut down. Nothing.
Huge factory buildings, houses everywhere abandoned.
It wouldn't take that much. It would not take that much to take that infrastructure that's already there, repurpose it, and just start opening up factories.
Just like 2008 with the house crash. You know how simple it would have been to fix that?
Yeah.
All the banks would have had to have done is called everybody in, refinance their rate on a fixed rate, and put people back in their homes. But no, they
didn't want to do that.
They got greedy.
Yeah, well, that's all they are is greedy.
Yeah, they got greedy. They count on 20% of all loans that they do going bad anyway.
Yes.
But the problem is what they didn't count on is so many people walking away.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So then they had so many homes out there, it crashed the market to the point where they were worthless.
Yeah.
So what like Bank of America, what they did was they started tearing down homes and donating the property to the cities.
Yeah.
Okay. So they get tax write-off, on the properties that they donated to the cities,
And then cities
which
getting the property.
lessened the amount of homes that were on the market, which raised the value of what homes were left.
Yeah.
And to me, that's criminal.
Oh, it is. I mean, the thing, I don't think government and banks should be working together.
Absolutely not.
And I firmly believe this is one of the worst things that's ever happened to America is the creation of the Federal Reserve.
I agree.
And they took us off the gold standard
Federal
back in the
Reserve
60s.
and World Bank.
Exactly. But they took us off the gold standard in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
What is our money based on if not by gold? It's
Right.
not. It's fucking paper.
I Googled it a while back, and according to Google, it was like 1972 when they took us off the gold.
Is it 72?
Yeah, we've talked about the breakfast the other morning.
Mm-hmm.
The older gentleman that we have dinner with, and I thought it was the 60s, and the one gentleman said no, it was like 71, 72.
Really?
And we Googled it, and it was around 71, 72.
Okay, so early 70s.
Yeah, early 70s when they took us off the gold market. And the thing is there's a theory out there and a rumor out there. Is there any gold in Fort Knox?
Yeah, exactly. Or is it dry?
Yeah, but they won't let nobody in to look at it.
No, fuck no.
I mean, the last time anybody was in Fort Knox was the 70s.
No shit.
Yeah, I mean, they won't let anybody in there to look at it. Not even the president is allowed to go into Fort Knox.
What?
Yeah, not even the president can walk in there.
Well, that just brings a whole nother problem, because whenever you think of president, you think of power, you think
Right.
of running the country. But like Putin said, he said, whenever the American president gets elected, there's people in black suits that come in, set you down and be like, you had some great ideas, but here's the book on what you can do.
This is what you can do.
Yeah, because
and it's not the president. That's what everybody.
It's the DEA.
What everybody makes the mistake of believing is the president's running our country.
Right.
It's not the president.
It's
It's Congress. It's the Senate. It's
the 3-letter agencies.
Yeah, it's everybody else, and
life.
And it's the 1% of the world.
Yeah,
it's the absolute powerful rich that controls everything that happens, and they're the ones that want the one world order. They want to and they want to put all the power back in their hands. Mm-hmm. And they hate the United States because the United States is the only country that somebody could come from nothing and become a millionaire, a billionaire. Without any, I mean, if you want to work hard and you want to push, and if that's what your goal is in life, you can build and you could become as rich as you want. My upline, Brian Atkins, he started Secure Insurance Group 6-7 years ago, and he started with his retirement money, and he's grown that from 3 or 4 agents when he started. He's got over like 4,000 agents now, and they make like $60 million a year in like 7 years.
Yeah.
Where else in this world can you do that?
Nowhere.
That's what irks me about our country and our people. Our country is still the greatest country that existed in history.
Mm-hmm. But we're on the downfall.
But we're on the downfall because over the last 30 years since World War II, we've had entities within our government trying to push us down.
Oh, absolutely.
And they're growing more and more powerful every year. And they're in our education system now. They're in our political system now. And it all goes back to, the United States is the greatest experiment that's ever come.
Yes.
They could call us racist. They could call us this. They can call us that.
That's just a word anymore.
Yeah. Well, it's an abused word.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got black friends, Mexican friends, and I love them like they're my brothers.
You're a normal person. You love people for who they are,
right.
not what they fucking look like.
Yeah, for what their creed is and what their belief is and what their understandings is and how hard they're willing to work. That's what I respect.
Yes.
I don't respect somebody using their race, their color, their ethnic, whatever. I do not respect anybody that blames that on where they are or where they're not in their life.
Yes.
I grew up, you know,
which we do have to take into account, that there are certain disadvantages for different categories. You know, like
there's disadvantages for everybody, though.
I agree, but I mean, we do need to realize. I mean, I do think it's important because that's like let's take homosexual, let's take gay people,
right?
Just an example, gay people.
I've got a niece that's gay.
20 years ago,
yeah.
If a gay woman or a gay man was to try to go into, let's just use our small town as an example, go in and get just a job at whatever business.
Right.
And they said, hey, by the way, this is my girlfriend, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
They wouldn't hire them. There are certain disadvantages for these disenfranchised groups. Right. Black people, they did have it bad for a long time.
Oh, yes, without a doubt.
And I do think like honestly, we do owe a little bit of help to them.
No,
I'm not saying that we owe them money. I'm not saying that we owe, but I do think
we've been giving them help for as long as I've been lived 58 years.
Yeah.
But, you know, the government has always given programs to give them a hand up.
Yes.
You know,
and it is deserved.
Yeah, it's very much deserved. Yeah. I mean, slavery was terrible.
Oh,
I don't think anybody should ever own another human being. Well, I don't care who they are.
We have more slavery today than we've ever had because there's more people. I get that. Per capita might be different. I don't know.
Right.
But the thing is, like
right now, today we're all slaves. We're slaves to our government.
We're all slaves to our government. We're all slaves to $1.
Right.
You know, but the thing, and here's what pisses me off, and I agree with a lot of what you said. The thing is today, and this is what makes me mad, is let's get it. I'm just trans. Okay. We got trans, we got gay, we got black, we got Mexican, we got Indian, we got all these different races. Okay. And then in society today, you get a poker chip. Are you gay? Yeah. Okay. Here's your poker chip. Are you trans? Oh yeah, I'm cutting my dick off. Okay, cool. You get another poker chip.
Right.
And then in society as it is now, they expect to be able to push these poker chips in at any time and say, you didn't give me the job and I'm all this.
Right.
No, it's because you weren't fucking qualified.
Right.
You know,
that's my key right there.
Yes, I know. I was just trying to clear the air. But, and that's the thing is we need
people to be rewarded for their character and what they're qualified for, and not their race, not their sexual orientation, not anything, but as who they are
as human beings.
And in the same respect, you know, I grew up in an all-black neighborhood. Mm-hmm. You know, I saw racism on both sides.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it happens everywhere. The thing about equality and what people don't want to talk about is equality is everyone not giving a fuck about each other.
Exactly.
So it doesn't matter. That's like me. If I meet a guy, if he's black, I don't look at him as black.
I don't either. I look at him as a human being.
So he's like, I'm black. I don't care.
I look at a person as how they respect me to where I respect them. If they show me respect, I show them respect.
And at its core, isn't that what equality is? Yes. Is not giving a shit what they are.
No, just who they are.
Exactly.
In their character, their you know, how they treat you. Mm-hmm. You know, that's what you got to look at. But I mean, I love all people.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't have a racist bone in my body when it comes to a person.
Very few people do. You know. It's this loud minority that screams. And of course, everyone thinks that it's the majority because they're very loud.
No, I'm not saying there's not racist people out there.
They're nasty motherfuckers.
They're nasty pieces of crap that I think they're a waste of human flesh.
Exactly.
Anybody that belittles somebody because of who they are, they're just
piece of shit.
Yes.
But the thing is, and this is the double-edged sword of America, is they have the freedom to be that piece of shit.
Right.
You know,
yes.
And as long as they are not physically hurting someone, then the only thing we can do is say fuck them and not support them and let them starve, let them die. Fuck them. Who cares? But they have the right in America to be that nasty human being, whether we like it or not.
Right.
Freedom is being who you are.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if we like it or not.
And we got to stop teaching hate.
Exactly.
In all areas.
You know, hang on, let's time out. I've got to pee so bad. Okay. Do you need to go?
Yeah.
Okay. We are back. We just took our piss break. We are empty and we are back and we're ready to roll. Scott, you were telling me about a story that had just happened while we were on our break. Would you be willing to share?
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it.
Okay. We were talking about hospitals and insurance companies and billing and things like that. And a lot of people, I hear all the time about the cost of insurance, the cost of this, and how insurance companies rip people off and this and that, and I explain to people all the time, the problem is a lot of people don't know that the government has regulated the insurance companies on the medical side of things to what's called an 80-20 rule.
What's 80-20 rule?
An 80-20 rule means if an insurance company, a medical insurance company, does not use 80% of what they take in on the patient's care, that they have to give a rebate back to the patients. So that's why if you have Obamacare, health market, things like that, you get a rebate back a lot of years. My last one was $413.
Gotcha.
Okay. Now, at the same time, the hospitals, are a large percentage in this country. I'm not going to go the exact amount because I may be wrong, but a large percentage of our hospitals are still listed as nonprofit organizations.
Yes.
But yet, if you can't afford to pay your bill, they want to try to ruin your life.
Exactly.
And I don't think it's fair.
Oh, it's not. I mean, how can you be labeled a non-for-profit, but you're making profit? That to me, that makes no sense. It's built on a lie and it's false.
Right. It is built on a lie because, if they weren't making profit, how are they building all of these big, humongous buildings everywhere and buying up everything under the moon?
Fancy buildings, too.
Yeah.
I mean, we're putting Starbucks in them.
Right.
We're making them good.
So where are they not making profit? And not to mention, one, if they're nonprofit hospital, they're not paying taxes. Okay. And two, if they need an MRI machine, they file for a government grant. The government grant usually gives them a matching. So if an MRI machine is $500,000, the government gives them $500,000 of our taxpaying money. Okay.
Fuck.
And then they go out and they go to the businesses and different people and ask for donations to raise the money from the community for that MRI machine. So they got little to nothing in it. But the last MRI that I got, they charged me $3,500 just to step into it. And then they charged me $1,700 for this picture, $1,800 for that, $2,700 for that. Before it was over with, my MRI was like $14,000 for something they have little to no money into. How are they saying they're not making a profit?
And you brought up a really good point that I have never fucking thought about, and I'm so mad at myself because I'm sure 90% of America has never thought about this either, and I want to bring it up. Whenever you pay your 20% deductible, are you paying 20% on what the insurance paid, or are you paying the 20% on the hospital total?
Well, what happens is they have what's called customary and reasonable charges. And what happens on customary and reasonable charges is the insurance company, say the hospital sends you a bill for $1,000, and the insurance company says, "Oh no, that's ridiculous. We're only going to pay customary and reasonable charges." So they may only pay, say, $800 for that service.
Okay.
You get billed the 20% of that $800 from the insurance company.
Okay.
But the government's not protected you from that other $200, where the hospital can come back around and bill you the difference.
Now, can you contest that?
No.
Okay.
Not that I know of.
Yeah.
And if you could, the government's pretty much on their side.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, the insurance has or the hospitals have their hand in literally everything.
Yes.
Did you know? I didn't know this, and disclosure, I might be wrong. This is just what I saw. They could get me. I've been got millions of times. Okay. But did you know that insurance companies also own pharmaceutical companies that are also owned by the hospital? So a hospital owns insurance companies who own pharmacy companies, and they rebate each other.
Say I'm not 100% on that
I'm not, and
of it.
I'm not saying
Right.
all insurance, but from what I gathered from what I read is that the hospitals will own some insurance companies,
Mhm.
like their own in-house insurance.
Well, they
company.
they have their own in-house insurance that all of their employees, they insure themselves.
Yes.
Yes. And a lot of companies today are doing self-insurance, but they all have,
like as a group life or
right,
whatever.
or group health.
Yeah, or
you
group
know,
health,
and
yes.
like Quebecor Printing is a big company out in West Virginia. Quebecor Printing has they're all self-insured. So if one of their workers has an issue, they've got to go through a Quebecor Printing doctor in their network. Okay. So that is one thing that's going on all over the country. You know, another thing that is happening, you know, on the medical side of thing, I'll give you an example. Back here last year before, I had an insurance for 2 years because even though I sell insurance, I couldn't afford it. Yeah. You know, and so what happened, because my wife got offered insurance at her work. I'm self-employed. We couldn't afford the insurance for both of us at her job. So I went without for 2 years. So when I got on Obamacare, which, you know, Obamacare is great for
the ones it's great for.
Yeah, the Obamacare is great if you fall in a certain income level.
Yes.
But if you go above that level or below that level, if you don't make enough money, you don't get any help. You don't get any subsidy.
So you have to make a minimum amount of money to be able.
You have to fall in that certain window to get good coverage and with no cost or very little cost.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I you know, we fell in a window where we got a good policy. And so I went to the doctor because I'm diabetic. So the first thing I did, I thought, well, I'll go for a wellness check. And I went to him. I set my appointment up for my wellness check. And so I go in there, and the first thing the doctor does is, so you're here for a diabetic physical. I said, no, I'm here for my wellness check.
So that wording right there could have changed everything as far as what gets billed.
Yes.
All right.
Amen.
Okay.
And that's where I'm headed here. So I said, no, I'm here for my wellness check. She says, but you're diabetic. And I said, what? Diabetics don't get wellness checks? And she says, well, when was the last time you had a diabetic check? I said, it's been about 2 years. She said, why have you put it off that long? I said, because I had no insurance. And I'm not accustomed to building up bills that I can't afford to pay.
Yeah. I mean, you're trying to live.
Right. Yeah. And she said, well, that's no excuse. And I said, okay, I'll cancel my insurance tomorrow. I'll come in and you can treat me all you want. Just don't bill me.
What'd they say to that?
She gave me a dirty look, you know? And so anyway, you know, she starts to talking to me and this and that. And the next thing I know, she starts asking me, any sores on your feet? Which, you know, I work with the fire department in Birch Tree. I go out with the first responders, and for years I have. I'm not a licensed first responder, but I go on a lot of the calls. So I'm very familiar with all of this. And so she starts asking me these questions and everything. And so I'm like, okay. So I answer her. So, I mean, you're supposed to answer your doctor, right? You got to be honest with them. Yep. So I answer anything that she asks me. So I leave, and the next thing I know, I get a bill in the mail for a copay. Now, it's only $18. But what they do, and what I've recently found out through going to the medical billing people with another customer of mine that is insurance that they've done the same thing to, when you go for a wellness check now, if they treat you for anything, if you got a rash on your arm and they say, where'd that rash come from? And they give you a cream for that rash, that's no longer wellness. That's an actual patient visit.
What the hell?
So that changes it from your free visit to a regular doctor's visit. And without telling you or informing you of anything, they automatically bill the insurance company for a regular visit instead of a wellness check, which makes them more money through the insurance company. Okay. And it makes them more money because now they get to charge you a copay.
Yeah. Oh my God. So what the hell is the point of a wellness check if they can change it like that?
My thing is the wellness check is supposed to, and purpose of insurance companies pushing wellness and hospitals pushing wellness is it's supposed to be to catch anything early, so it saves the insurance company money.
Mm-hmm.
It saves your life.
Yeah.
Think about it. If you don't go for a wellness check and you end up with a cancer, or something, and you don't catch it till stage 4,
You're fucked.
You're screwed. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that's the purpose of having wellness checks.
Yeah.
So now what's happening is when the people are getting mad. I mean, my customer that came to me the other day about it, and I went over to the hospital to the billing and sat down with their billing administration and went over this. She got billed. She got her wellness check changed from, and she's always been high blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what happened was they upped her blood pressure medicine, which changed the point of her visit. And they don't tell you that.
That's crooked.
They just do it.
They just do it.
Yeah. And that's wrong.
And they've got every legal ramification to be able to.
Yeah. Well, what are they gonna say?
Yeah. That's what I mean.
There's nothing, you got no rights.
Oh my God.
And that's what's wrong with our medical system today. It used to be the doctors and the patients talked and they worked out their care together based on what the patient can afford.
Yeah.
Now it's not about what the patient can afford. It's about how they can bill you to get the most out of it. And so how are they maintaining their nonprofit organization venue?
Exactly. Especially whenever they're able to change stuff like that.
Right.
To me, that makes no sense. There needs to be accountability about this.
Right.
But where does it start?
Yeah, exactly. Who do we go to change it?
Yeah. Who do you ruffle?
And I mean, and I've been debating on this. I'm going to call my congressman's office tomorrow. I'm going to call my state representative's office and talk to them about this because I just do not think it's fair to the public.
No, it's not. But that's the thing. It's like it's a gatekeeper secret that you don't know unless someone tells you about it.
Right.
Who would have thought? I would have never thought. If I go in for a wellness check, I just assume it's a wellness check.
And how many people get an $18 bill or $30 bill and you just pay it because you don't know what they've done?
Exactly. Because, I mean, like me, if I went in for a wellness check and I got a bill in the mail for 18, I wouldn't think twice about it.
So I refused to pay it. I told them no. I said, I booked a wellness check. Mm-hmm. I told the doctor 3 different times that I was there for a wellness check. My thought was to go in for a wellness check, find out what is wrong with me, where I need help, and then go get the next visit and start addressing the problems from there. But to me, that's what a wellness check is.
Yeah, find out what's wrong, and then you go back to to get in more in depth.
Right, exactly. So why are we being changed and charged
nickel and dime to death
for
every little thing?
Exactly. And this is something that's going on. And the gentleman that I spoke with said, well, I used to be the administrator of a large hospital away from here. And that's the way they've been doing it for years.
Back to that old chestnut of, well, that's how we've done it.
Right. But now that's not the way it was done here in rural America. But now what's happening is like Mercy has bought up all your doctor's offices and things like that. This is what he told me. He said, Mercy has bought up all the doctor's offices and stuff, and now they're billing as an urgent care. See the difference on an insurance company, like with Advantage Plan. Say I'll use the Anthem Advantage Plan, for example. A wellness check is no cost to the client.
Yeah.
Okay. A primary doctor care is no cost to the client. Okay. But an urgent care visit is a $30 copay to the client.
So if they can finagle it to just make it an urgent care visit,
Right. Then they
make some
get to
money.
bill a higher cost as an urgent care visit, and they got a copay coming from the patient now. So if they do that over 10,000 patients, how much money are they gaining by doing this to people?
And just for ignorance of the people who don't know about it,
Right.
who just pay it.
That, just pay it. And another thing that I find all the time with our local hospital is I can't count how many times that I have people that are on Medicare supplements.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of these people are on F plan, which back in the day when F plan was available, anything like A and B doesn't pay, F plan would pick up and pay 100%. So they should never get a bill.
F plan's kind of like a catch-all to help out.
Right.
Gotcha.
Okay. On medical side, not drugs.
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, what would happen? Like I had this one customer that brought me a bill. It was only like $14 or something like that. But he's like, I should know this.
Exactly.
So I go over to the hospital with him. I go to the same person that I talked to on this other one, and he looks it up and says, don't worry about it. It's already paid. Well, the very next month, he gets the same bill, but with the same date of service and everything. But the next time, it's got a threatening thing about turning it into his collection agency, and they're harassing our senior citizens into paying these small bills. Some of them are 14, some of them are 75, this or that have already been paid by the insurance company.
And they're just double dipping.
Right. And see, what happened then is I went back to them again, and they said, oh, that's just a mistake. It's already been paid. Well, then why are you still sending him notices?
I was going to say those mistakes add up.
Right. So then the third month comes by, we get it again. Same bill, same threatening wording. So I go over and I ask to talk to the business administrator.
Mm-hmm.
So she comes out and she, says my client's name. I said, no, I'm not the client. I'm his agent.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got a problem here and I would like to get it resolved.
Mm-hmm.
So, I tell her what's going on. She says, give me a minute. 20 minutes later, she comes back out. She says, oh, that was just the left hand not knowing what the right hand's doing. We'll take care of that. But how many seniors have they done that same thing to
who don't know,
that went ahead and write the check and send it in?
On money that they don't have.
Right.
That could go towards their electric.
Right.
That could go towards food. Could go towards gas.
And these are...
Would there be any legal ramifications as far as like...
Well, I'm not a lawyer, but it seems to me that, number one, threatening a person on a debt that is not owed through your credit, that's got to be against the Fair Credit Act.
It has to be.
Okay. And number two, sending such bill that is basically a fraudulent bill is, to me, mail fraud.
Yeah.
For billing and sending it through the U.S. mail.
That's something, man. If there's a lawyer out there that would try to get a capital case going against that kind of, I don't think they would.
Well, they call it mistakes.
Yeah, exactly.
They say it's mistakes.
That's
it's
a legal way out of it. It's a mistake.
Right.
But if those mistakes can show a pattern.
Right.
That's where you could get it.
Right. And that's the thing. And it's, I mean, I can tell you myself, I've been over to our hospital so many times. When I walk in, they know me by first name.
Yeah.
Over
mistakes.
These mistakes.
Mm.
That I tell all of my customers, when you get a bill from the hospitals around here,
mm-hmm.
don't pay a daggone thing until you either get with me or call the insurance company, give them the date of service, check with your claims department, find out what was owed, what was paid, and what your responsibility is before you pay a dime on that medical bill.
Yeah, do your due diligence.
Right, yes. Do your due diligence. That's the only way to protect yourself. And I teach every one of my clients that I work with, I teach every one of them that.
Well, that's a special thing because, I can't speak for many because I don't know many, but that does not seem like a very common thing for insurance.
It's not.
That, to me, that shows that you're looking out for your customer.
Right. And my customers, I've got Medicaid forms
mm-hmm.
in my office.
Mm-hmm.
I've got QL&B forms, which QL&B is a government program that if a senior falls below a certain amount of money, that the state will pick up and pay their Part B premium for them.
Is that like qualified living?
I'm not sure what the initials stand for.
QLB?
QLMB.
QLMB, okay.
And there's a couple of different programs out there that for the people that are seniors on Medicare A and B and you're low income and you're not sure whether or not you qualify, just get a hold of your local social services office. They've got forms there that you can fill out, send it in. And if you fall within a certain guideline, the state will pick up and pay your $164.90 for you.
Really?
Yes.
And what's a $164.94?
That's the premium for your Part B on Medicare A and B.
Okay.
And if you also, there's programs that'll help with your drug cost. It'll lower your co-pays on your drug cost. It'll pay your drug premium for you, because that's the other one that they penalize you for if you don't have it.
Drugs?
Is your drugs, So that's the 1% that we were talking about earlier per month.
Yeah.
If you don't get it when you turn 65 and then 70, you decide you need it,
then
that's when they assess that penalty.
Gotcha.
And
it's assessed for life.
And that's assessed for life. Yes.
Wow.
And the thing is I have people every year come in and say, I didn't know that,
Yeah.
And it is, if you read on the Social Security website and you read down through it, it does say you could be penalized in that print. Okay. So they're not hiding it, but they're
hiding it in plain sight.
They're not being upfront with it.
Exactly.
They're
reaching the bare minimums to
let you know that it's there, but they're not telling you, one, that it's a lifetime penalty.
Yes.
Or what that penalty could entail.
Shit, dude, that's heavy.
So last year I put up flyers. I put an ad in the Beacon, Summersville Beacon. I put flyers up all around Eminence, Winona, Mountain View, Birch Tree, West Plains, and I put on 6 seminars last year just to teach people about Medicare A, Medicare B, what your penalties are, what to expect when you turn 65. And I did that all at my cost. And out of 6 of them, I had exactly 2 people show up.
No way.
Yes.
And just for education.
I just wanted to educate people. No, requirements to buy. No, nothing. They didn't owe me nothing.
Yeah. Just to educate.
Just to educate on what it means to turn 65 and what you got to look for.
And 2 people showed up.
And 2 people showed up out of 6 seminars that I put on that I spent. I bet you between the 6th, I spent probably $1,600 just for venue. I put food out for help them, print out information, paid for the advertising. Like I said, I put it in the newspaper. I printed up flyers. I spent countless hours going around the communities, putting up the flyers, trying to get it out there. And I just wish the next time somebody sees that, I don't care.
Come get educated.
Yeah, I don't care if you're 30 or 59 or 64.
You're going to get to that age eventually.
And if not just you, what about your mom and dad?
Yeah.
What about your grandma? What about your aunt and uncle?
Yep.
Let them know that these things are out there.
Take advantage of the education.
Right.
Take advantage of someone who knows what they're talking about.
Take
advantage of someone who's in the belly of the beast and knows what's going on.
Right.
Yes.
And are not afraid to tell them the bare truth.
Obviously. I mean, just look at what we've talked about today.
Yeah.
You stand up for what you believe in.
And that's me.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole reason...
And that's very admirable. Yeah. Admirable, by the way.
The whole reason I got into insurance is not to get rich.
Yeah.
A lot of people tell me all the time, I'm leaving money on the table. I'm leaving money on the table. But when I approach a client, what I approach is the person. I want to get to know the person. I want to get to know their need. I want to get to know what they can afford to meet their need. I tell people all the time, life insurance, very important.
Yes.
Okay. I tell them you might want a Mercedes Benz, but you might only be able to afford a Volkswagen.
Yeah.
But let's get on you what we can get on you to protect your family.
Yes. At least there's something.
Right.
There's something.
At least there's a cushion.
Because how many people in our community, if the breadwinner dies,
right,
would default within 2 months?
Oh, without a doubt. Even less than that, a lot of them.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, what they don't think about when something happens like that. I sell accident policy, cancer policies, ICU policies, hospital indemnity policies. These policies are designed to help you while you're alive.
Yes.
A life insurance is designed to help your family after you're gone.
Mm-hmm.
So if you got a mortgage of, say, $1,200 a month, and you got two people working on that income, you got a car payment of $700 a month, car insurance of $350 a month, and all your bills are set on two people's income.
Yeah.
If you, God forbid, went out here and had an accident and died tonight, where is your family's finances?
Yeah.
What is your wife going to do to survive? Because number one, she's just lost the best thing of her life. Okay. She's going to lose her brain for 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
Okay. I recommend that everybody have enough insurance to at least cover expenses for a minimum of 1 year.
Yeah. And that's probably being pretty conservative.
That's very conservative.
Yeah.
Okay. Even if you got insurance at work, a lot of people's like, I got $100,000 at work.
$100,000 don't go very far nowadays.
But even at that, okay, say you have $100,000 at work and it's going to cover your bills for a year and a half.
Some of those.
What happens tomorrow if your company says, hey, we're moving to China?
Yeah.
What happens tomorrow if your boss comes in and says you haven't been meeting the production? We're going to have to let you go.
Yeah. Or we're hiring the younger guy because you're aging out.
Right.
Yeah. Which, quote unquote, that's illegal to do. But
right.
we know
but it happens all the time.
Yeah, it happens.
So what I teach people is have at least a $15,000 to $20,000 policy outside of your work. Have that cushion out there that if something happened, that you lost your job and then something happened. How many people lose their job and end up committing suicide?
Yeah. A big majority, because they're in that where
right.
they don't know what to do.
So they've lost their job, they've lost their insurance,
lost their purpose,
and they've had the insurance for 2, 3, 4 years. Because if you do it within the first 2 years, it's not going to pay anyway.
Yep.
But after 2 years, their
God
family,
forbid something happens.
God forbid. That the family's going to at least have that to get her through maybe 6 months.
Yeah, exactly.
To give her a chance.
A nest egg, something, a safety net.
Right, a safety net.
Yes.
And
to catch it as your shit falls down.
Another thing that people don't think about is, like I was talking about earlier, cancer policies, accident policies. You know how many cancer people that are in from the Boot Hill to West Plains? I mean, this is the most cancerous ridden area that I ever heard of in my life.
Isn't that wild?
SEMO Internet years ago put a thing out, and you could print it out. I used to have it, but it talked about the counties from the Boot Hill to West Plains per capita were the largest percentage of cancer cases in the entire United States per capita of people.
That's heavy.
And down towards the Boot Hill, and they showed it in like red, and it was like down the Boot Hill was like burgundy.
Yeah.
And the closer you got to West Virginia, yeah, I'm taking it back home. The closer you got to West Plains, it was more of a pinkish, but it was still pretty red.
Bad. Yeah.
Way
worse than we want to see for
sure.
Oh my God.
And the further you got towards Joplin and things like that, it's not as bad down that area.
I wonder what that is. I wonder if it's quality of life.
Well, I've had a couple of people tell me over the years different theories. And some people say it's because of all the chemicals put on the boot hill that the farmers use and whatnot. And I kind of believe a part of that.
Well, 90% of Americans, if you get your blood drawn, has trace amounts of Roundup in it. What's it called? Glycemate, something like that.
Yeah.
But 90% of Americans, and it's a leukemia-causing agent.
Yes.
90% of Americans, when have their blood drawn, have trace amounts of that in their system.
So I ran into a guy down in Birch Tree, Missouri, that gave me kind of an interesting theory. He was talking about back during when they were doing the nuclear test out in Arizona and everything. He said all of those tests went up in the air and all that nuclear waste was right there. Yeah. And he said, if you follow the jet line,
it comes straight through.
It comes right down, and all of that settled from the boot hill up through here. All of that nuclear waste.
I wonder if someone's done a study to follow that and see if the cancer is higher in that jet stream.
This is what he had done. He had map after map.
That would be wild.
Yeah. And he had all this information that he had investigated over the years. And he showed me his theory, and it makes sense. Yeah. And then you take that with a combination of all the chemicals. It's a deadly situation.
Well, that, and just think how we have very little healthy food around here. I mean, whenever you go to town, what's your choices? McDonald's,
right? And not only that, what's your income?
Exactly. You can't. Yeah.
You want to eat healthy.
That's hard to do.
It's hard to do when the incomes around this area.
Yeah, and that's why we have what we have. There's no Whole Foods around here.
No.
People listening in like Louisiana and stuff, we don't have a Whole Foods. We don't
have Big Lot. We don't have.
We have nothing.
We have Big Lots over West Plains, but we don't have like Food Lion. We don't have Piggly Wiggly. Publix, we don't have Republics. We don't have any of those chains here. No. Our biggest chain over here is Walmart.
Exactly.
And in our town in Mountain View, Missouri, we don't even have a supercenter.
No, we just have a Walmart.
Yeah. And that's a little block Walmart, that has a few groceries in it. But
everywhere has a supercenter now.
Right.
We do not.
And I blame that on our community. Absolutely. I blame that on the people that run our community, because Walmart was looking to put a supercenter in Mountain View a while back.
I remember
that. And it was our politicians, our city people that didn't work with them to allow them to do it, and so, there's a lot to that. Now, and a part of me is kind of glad we didn't go supercenter. And a part of me thinks what would have done to boost our economy.
Jobs.
Yes.
Economy. Taxes for the government,
and
for the city.
I tell you, somebody else that was looking to come to our area, and that was Lowe's.
I know. That got shut down. That was coming to West Plains.
Yeah, that got shut down.
Did you hear the reason?
No.
The reason is Meeks is a hometown business, and we don't want to destroy the hometown. Well, you're kidding me. Fucking Meeks is not a hometown business.
Yeah, I'm on community betterment of Mountain View, and we try to do a lot of things to help the community. But the one thing through that, and it's a wonderful thing. We feed.
Oh, you guys do some amazing work with the community.
Just Tuesday night, which was my birthday, by the way.
Happy late birthday!
I got fed for free.
28 years old, right?
Oh yeah. I wish. But every month we put on a free dinner for the community.
Yeah.
And nobody's charged anything a dime. Now, we do have a donation thing if somebody wants to donate, and we use that money to help fund the next dinner, So, but we all volunteer our own time. Everybody was talking about the concert that they had a few months ago with, Aaron Tippin coming in, and that the city lost money on it. That is true. But the thing is anytime you try to start something of that magnitude, to build it to become a yearly thing, to grow the community and grow the community youth programs and things like that. It takes a while. And that first concert is a 50-50 flip. You're either going to make money or lose money.
But at the same, and this right here is me just doing my job.
Right.
But at the same time, the taxpayers do have a right to be angry about it, because And trust me, everyone's heart was in the right place. And
Right.
I don't think anyone did anything wrong. That's not what I'm saying.
No.
But the main question that I've gotten from people who's wanted me to talk about the Aaron Tippin concert
Right.
is,
I'm glad I brought it up.
me too. But, and I don't, being in a small town, being in my position right now, it's kind of like your back's against the wall. You don't want to call it out, but at the same time, I've got to,
Right.
you know, so
Yes.
no hard feelings on
Please,
people
no.
because, but at the same time, what the main question I've gotten from people who want answers about it is, would they have been as frivolous with their own money as they were with the taxpayer money on getting this started, or would they have been more careful to make sure that it didn't flop? You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
And I feel like I feel like it's a fair question.
Right. And that was inexperience.
Exactly.
And
We're
that's
a
all
small
that,
town.
and that's all that was is inexperience.
We're a small
Everybody
town, never done it before.
Right.
You know, I mean, obviously, first time, like you said, the first time is going to be hard.
Right.
And, you know, there's going to be mistakes made. People are going to fuck up.
Right.
At the same time, the people who do want accountability for it do have the right to be like, you are in the public position, so you do have to at least answer the question.
Right. But also in that, you know, the community
Didn't show up.
had every right to go to the city council meetings,
Absolutely.
things like that, and be informed.
No one's involved.
And the ones that want to complain are the very ones that don't want to do anything to help.
Exactly. They want to complain. They don't want to be involved.
Right.
And that's just the outrage of our culture.
Right.
Because what is our culture great at right now? It's not lifting a finger, but bitching.
Everybody complains about our youth programs not having the money to do the things that need to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Our pool's not open yet. And that wasn't because of this administration.
No.
That was because of the previous administration had the money to do the pool and used it wrongly.
Exactly. But
you know,
and me, I see both sides because I
Right.
love what our city government doing. I think we have we have some of the best people I've seen in a long time.
I agree.
On the other side, we've got the taxpayers who are like, what the fuck, you know?
Right.
And I like to go in the middle, you know, because I'm on both sides.
I am too.
I'm not,
you
yes,
know.
yes. I'm not for or against anyone because I think everyone's heart was in the right place.
Right.
It flopped, whoop-de-doo, you know, but what I do think should have been done better is the explanation of what happened. Because whenever...
Right.
And John,
it seemed to me like everybody threw everybody under the bus.
yeah. And John, I love you. I
Yes.
love you. You're doing good as a mayor. Should you have said, "Man, it happens"? No, you should not have.
Right.
You should have at least, because you do have that
But you know,
obligation to answer
right.
for the things that happen.
But in the same flip side, John's done so much for our community.
Agreed. He's amazing.
I mean, he got $250,000
Yes.
to work on our infrastructure. Nobody talks about that.
No, well, that's part of being
You
in
know,
the public is that
right.
they never talk about what you do good.
Right.
They are always outraged about what
I
you
mean-
do bad, and that was not a knock on John.
Right.
Because, like I said, I think he has done great
Right.
for our city.
I agree.
But-
I think John's brought our city a long way, but with our city's got so
Yeah.
far to go.
From where we were 2 years ago
Yeah.
with Donnie, what's his name?
Pruitt.
Donnie Pruitt,
Yeah.
who was a shit bag of a mayor.
I didn't know him. I don't know him. But what I do know is through the administration now and what I've learned about
And I
how unorganized.
Yes.
And I mean, the first thing John did just come in and he put a big audit in.
Yes, and
And
that's what I mean. He did amazing.
Yes.
And I am not knocking John 1% at all because I think the concert was a great idea. I think that they did their best, and I don't put the blame on anyone.
So back to the community betterment. A lot of people don't know that we volunteered our own time.
Mhm.
And the week before the concert, a bunch of the community betterment, went downtown. We used our own pressure washers, our own time, our own money,
Mhm.
and we power washed all the streets in that whole area downtown
To get it up,
Mountain
looking
View, to get the whole community looking better.
Yes.
We did everything we could trying to get the word out,
Yes.
getting people. The biggest mistake that I think they made on this is when they did the event. One, my honest opinion is
Friday
that
night.
I don't think they advertised far enough out.
No, they
And
put the wrong people in charge of
and
advertisement.
And the other thing that they did wrong is they did not look at the other communities around us as
To
to
support
what events were going on in other communities on the same night.
Yes, and yes, that's it happened how it happened. It's
Right.
in the past. John did an amazing job.
Yes.
I really want to stress that I was
Yeah.
not knocking him. I'm just from an unbiased perspective.
I'm not knocking anybody.
Me neither. But from an unbiased perspective and me doing what I'm doing here, I do want to get the answers and to talk about it.
And in all fairness, I don't live in the city of Mountain View.
Me neither.
I live outside the city of Mountain View.
Yep.
But I do own a business in the city of Mountain View. I own property in the city of Mountain View,
which I do think business owners should have a little more. I think they should support business owners a little more in Mountain View.
I think business owners should have a vote.
You're damn right.
You know, we own property. My question is,
or even if you don't have a vote, why not make a small business like chamber almost,
right,
to where they can get together, voice their opinions straight to the city council, and because who brings in the most taxpaying money? The businesses. So they should have, because right now, as part of a business owner, what it feels like, and this is not from this administration, this is just
in general, yes,
as the government, is that the businesses are left out in the cold.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's like, we know you're going to pay your taxes, so we don't really give a shit what you're going to say,
right?
You know, and I'm not saying
and we pay city electric, we pay all that stuff,
yeah, and
and we have no say in anything that goes on.
It would be nice for the city to just have an outreach program to the businesses to be like, okay, one Tuesday a month, the business owners get together, be able to talk about their concerns,
right,
and they are heard,
right?
Because
because right now no
business feels heard.
We have taxation without representation within our city.
Exactly. But the thing is, the businesses do not feel heard. We feel left out in the dark,
in
the cold, and we feel like no one gives a shit about us.
Yes.
And that is going to de-incentivize any other new businesses from coming in.
And not only that, though, I mean, our whole community and our businesses and our business owners, a lot of them are involved in this, yes, because they're the ones that are also on the city councils as well, yes, the ones that live in town. And the reason why we don't have the jobs and the reason why we don't have the ability to keep our kids at home, you know, how many kids do you know that graduate our area that stay in our area?
Exactly.
Because there's no jobs. Unless you're going to work in a sawmill or start your own business, you have to leave the area and go on the road to the riverboats. Or
90% of our people, that's what they do. They have to travel to work. They don't get to be with their family.
And then our kids, they don't want that. So they move to Springfield. They move to West Plains. They move, you know, to St. Louis or somewhere better, to where they have a better chance of having a good life.
The opportunities there. I mean, we have no factories anymore.
No.
I mean, is Fab even open anymore?
No.
No.
I mean, they got a small skeleton crew there.
Okay, so we have two factories. Yeah. We have Angelica. That's, yes, it needs
work.
And
Angelica's not open.
No, I know, but why why are we not trying to incentivize a factory to come in?
Well, that's just it. Every factory that has come to look at our area, our city is shut down.
Yes. Yep.
You know, and it's sad.
It is. It is. And
you know, and I've talked to John about this, and John agrees with me, but his hands are tied too.
Exactly.
Because he's got a council.
Exactly.
You know, it's like our president. It's just like we were talking earlier. Our president is the head, but he's got the Congress and the Senate that, you know,
they have to work hand in hand.
They're not all working together hand in hand. Nothing gets done. And that's what's wrong with our country.
Exactly. Exactly.
And our city and local governments are in the same boat. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to work hand in hand to do what's best for the community. It's always what's best for them. And that, I'm afraid, the sadness of it is that's becoming the American way.
It is. Well, that's like, you know, the Aaron Tippin concert is a prime example. What I wish would have happened is, yes, it did flop. Okay, whoopty shit. Okay, well, we will make it up. We will get through. It's not the first time the city's ever lost money. Okay?
Exactly.
Let's just put it out. It's not the first time city's lost money. But what I would have liked to see is whenever it flopped, is for everyone involved to band together and be like, this was a team effort. We tried.
Yes,
I agree. What it took.
I agree. And don't blame it on the girl in the city hall. Don't blame it on the mayor. Don't blame it on this group or that group. It was a team effort.
And it should have been portrayed.
We all did our best.
Yes, with what you had.
With what we had to work with and with what experience we had.
Exactly.
And it was from a good place. It was about the kids.
Yep.
That's what it was about.
Yeah.
And we need to do more things in our community to keep our kids, one, out of trouble, keep them
Entertained.
in school, keep them out of drugs. And that's what these programs do.
Because we do have a war in Mountain View with drugs on our children.
Yeah, absolutely we do.
It is bad.
Yes.
And I'm not talking marijuana. I'm not,
No, no.
I'm talking meth. I'm talking heroin. I'm talking coke, fentanyl.
And fentanyl's right here.
Exactly.
You know, if
scary.
people here think that fentanyl can't reach out and bite their family in the butt, they're fooling themselves.
Exactly.
You know, in my hometown of Martinsburg, West Virginia, it is the heroin fentanyl capital of I mean, more our high school, our whole system back there. I've had a nephew, a niece, and a cousin all die from fentanyl.
Sorry to hear that, man.
You know, I mean,
that's a failure on us.
Yeah, it's a failure. It's a failure on us as a people. It's a failure on our government not to protect our borders and not to protect what's going on down there. And I'm talking to you, Joe Biden. I'm talking to you, Nancy Pelosi, and any of you other idiots that think that we should have open borders to where anybody could come in unchecked into our country.
You are killing our kids.
You're killing our kids.
You're killing our family.
Yes.
You are killing, God damn it. Now you got me fired up.
Yes.
But you are directly responsible for our children's death. Every overdose that happens from fentanyl is the blood on you. It's on you, Biden. It's on you, Nancy Pelosi. It's on you, Chuck Schumer. It's on you, AOC. It's on you guys. Right. You have done this.
Yes, absolutely.
Should there be a path for people to come in?
And they continue to do it. Yes. And I think the path should be a little bit easier, but it should not be openly easy to get into our country. You have to believe in our country, believe in our beliefs, and want to come in and assimilate. Just like our ancestors came in here and assimilated.
Yes, we are a mixing pot.
Right. And for all of the people out there that want to call us colonists and this and that,
I hate that word.
Look at history. Do you think the Indians and the other groups stayed in the area where they were their whole lives? No. I mean, Indian tribes, they battled for different parts of the country and killed each other and gained country. That was the way it was back then.
Yes.
You know, and guess what? It's still happening today. Look at Ukraine and Russia.
Exactly. History has always been about conquerors and conquerees.
That's right.
We will never change. If we would not, okay, say, what do? We're here. We've conquered history. To the victory, the spoils go to the victor. Right.
You know,
that's how it's always been.
Yeah.
That's how it always be.
Yeah, and that's how it is in the workplace. You know,
exactly.
It is.
You conquer your workplace.
It's dog eat dog.
Yep. You
go in and you bust your butt. You keep your nose to the ground. You do your job. You will stay at that job. You go in there and you start backstabbing this person and talking about that person and that person. And next thing you know, you have conflict within the whole group.
Yes. Well, and in America, you have the right to the American dream.
Yes.
That's it. You have the right to the dream. It's up to you to work your ass off to do it.
And get it. Exactly. You know, I started out, this is kind of my story with getting into insurance here since 2015. I came off the road in 2015 because I'm diabetic and I discovered I can't take care of it out here. And I knew my health was going to go if I didn't do something. So in 2015, I came out and I got a job with a company called Family Heritage. Wonderful company. I mean, they have great products. But my upline made me promises and blah, 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 you know. Well, 6 months into it, you know, it's done really well. I totaled my car. 13 weeks, the insurance company lost my car. I couldn't settle on my car. I couldn't buy another car. I'm a door-to-door insurance salesman, so I can't work.
Shit.
My credit fell apart. My life fell apart, you know. So then, you know, I finally get my car settled. I get another car, you know, through a friend of mine because my credit went to crap. I couldn't even borrow the money to get a car. You know, and, you know, that's just a small part. I could go back further that you'd blow your mind. But so anyway, I find a gentleman down in Dexter, promises me $400 a month plus commission, blah, blah, blah. So I go drive to Dexter. I'm already broke. So I drive to Dexter. doing okay. I'm selling insurance. Everything's good. 2 months into it, I get a letter in the mail from him saying, that's it. I can't do this contract. I did too many and it's not working out. I can't afford it. This is the new contract. Take it. If you don't want to take it, I understand if you leave. So I went to another insurance company down in Cape Girardeau. I got to drive to Cape Girardeau 2 days a week. I go there and I get stuck on
hour and a half, 2 hours away, right?
Yeah,
From
yeah.
here, yeah.
So I go down there. I got to sit in an office 2 days a week. I got to pay $100 a month to be able to use their office. You know, none of the customers that I build are mine because I'm captive. Yeah. So, you know, I'm calling in, I'm getting people, you people just called me 5 minutes ago, you know? So through all this, I'm still selling insurance and I'm supposed to get like $3,500 in commissions. 1,200 shows up in my bank. Nobody could tell me where the rest is. So I think, okay, maybe it's just this office. So I transferred to Springfield, Missouri, which is 2 hours the other direction from me. So I start going to that office. Make a long story short, that didn't work out either. So I got hold of a gentleman by the name of Brian Askins of Secure Insurance Group, which is now Impact Group.
Great guy.
Yeah, wonderful guy. So I go down there. I have to borrow money. I borrowed $20 from a friend to get down to talk to Brian in Springfield. And he teaches me the difference between independent and captive. So to make a long story short, that's been about 5.5 years ago. And I went from borrowing $20 to get down to talk to him to where I just bought my building that my office is in last January. I made a deal with a good friend of mine, Donnie Russell at Computers and More. And wonderful guy. I mean, I'd probably heard anybody say anything bad about him.
Shameless plug. If you guys have any computer needs or anything else, go see him. He's awesome.
Absolutely.
He's awesome.
But so anyway, but that just goes to show no matter what you go through in life, no matter, and I checked my credit score yesterday according to Aquarian. That's how you
Equifax?
Yeah, whatever.
Equifax.
According to them, I got a 755 credit right now.
Look at you. That's good.
You know, so I went from totally trash
to first class
to I'm up at 755 credit rate. I've got a Capital One card, a Citibank card. You know, I mean, so just because you fall down, it's up to you whether you get back up or not.
Exactly. And it's up to you to work hard to do it.
Amen.
That's like,
it's nobody else's fault.
No, well, people, you know,
and even if it is, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. Well, that's like me. I've had people ask me, it must be nice to be able to talk. I'm like, dude, I bust my ass from 8 to 5 and I get off and I shower and then I'm doing this. I work 15 hours a day.
Yeah, me too.
You know, but that's what it takes. If you want, you're entitled to have your dream.
Right.
But no one's going to get your fucking dream for you.
You know, the worst boss you will ever have is yourself.
Oh, I'm the hardest critic on myself.
Me too.
I call myself a loser piece of shit every day.
Me too. You know, I'm constantly second guessing myself, even though I know what I know.
Yeah.
You know, I'm always worried about making the wrong decision for somebody or giving them the wrong advice or.
Well, that's why people should use you, is because you actually care about them. You're not in it just for the money. You are in it to help. You have done seminars at your cost. You have reached out. You have tried to educate. You have went business to business. Yeah. You have asked how to help. You're in the community betterment, helping people.
Right. And then, you know, like just last week, you know, I got a lady turning 65. She didn't know how to sign up for Medicare A and B. I drove her all the way to West Plains. I went to Summersville, Missouri, picked her up, which is what, 40 minutes from the house. She lived way back in Arlen dirt roads.
So about an hour.
Probably. Yeah. So I go over there, I pick her up at her house, I drive her to West Plains, ask the right questions for her to get what she needs, drive her back home, and then go to my office.
God bless you.
Then yesterday I drive back to her house because she doesn't like driving too far away from her home. I filled out her application for her Advantage plan and I drove back to my office and faxed it in this morning. But I do that all the time. Yeah. Constantly. The people over at Family Services in West Plains know me by first name. You know,
that says something.
Yeah,
says
I
something.
walk in there all the time. I keep their applications, everything in my office. Because what happens in family services, if you go in family services and apply for help, they hand you the forms so you go home, fill them out, and come back.
Yeah.
So when someone comes into my office that needs help, I keep the forms there. I
Oh,
help
that's
them.
awesome.
I help them fill them out, and then if they don't have a way to get them to West Plains, I drive them over and drop them off for them.
That's awesome.
You know, I don't.
Well,
get
that just shows your character.
But I don't get paid for none of that, and I don't care.
Yeah.
What I care about is people need help. During COVID, I had so many people, and this is how I got involved in Medicaid.
Mm-hmm.
I had so many people calling me, and we would sit there for hours on the 800 number. Finally, one day I got mad and I called State Representative Copeland's office,
Mm-hmm.
and they were great.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I can't ask for a better people. Copeland's not with us anymore. We got another representative. I don't really know what his representative, but his assistant is Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
She's great too. But they gave me a direct number for Medicaid to call directly to Jeff City to get around all the 800 bull crap. Now, when people come to me with a problem with Medicaid, I usually have them on the phone within 5 minutes.
And that's crazy.
Tell me anybody that gets hold of Medicaid in 5 minutes.
There's no government program you get a hold of in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
You know,
that's awesome.
And that's because I took the time.
Okay, you're good. Sorry.
That's fine. That's because I took the time to find out what I need to do to help people.
Yeah.
And that's my only goal. My whole philosophy is to do right by people, and your paycheck will take care of itself.
That's a good philosophy to live by. That is a great one.
You know, that's my whole business philosophy.
Yeah, well, that's like me right now. Man, this sucks money. It doesn't make me anything.
No.
You know, I'm doing it because it's my passion. I love talking to people. I want to promote my people.
So, yeah, and,
you know,
and I do insurance for the same reason.
Yeah.
And I want people. I'm at the stage in my life where I'm not rich.
Yeah.
Nowhere close. I mean, you know, I'm lucky. I mean, my bank account goes down to nothing.
Same.
You know, back and forth month to month.
Yep.
You know, but I don't feel unsuccessful. My house payment's paid every month. My building bill is paid every month. My bills are paid every month. And then what I've got left after, you know, I donate to the community. I donate my time. If we're doing a dinner, you know, and we need ice, I don't question it. I go buy a couple of bags of ice and I donate it to the cause. Mm-hmm. You know, and I do that because the community needs it. You know, and it helps me.
Yeah, of course.
You know, it helps me. I'm not gonna throw out there that, you know, I do it and it don't help me, because the more you do for your community, the more people see that you actually care about the community, the more they want to be around you.
Yeah. Well, you're showing them who you are, and that's what people fall in love with is who the person is. Yeah. You know, and man, I think this is a good place. Is there anything else you want to add to before we wrap it up here?
Yeah, there's one more thing that I do want to add. Is for those out there that have ever heard of Buck Nelson.
Yeah. My first interview was on Buck.
Yeah, we've got to throw this in here.
Hell yeah, we do.
You know, Able Insurance in Mountain View, Cindy and Crystal and all of them in there, Robin, they are trying to put together a Buck Nelson 3-day event, April, I think it's 24th.
I think you're right.
Of this upcoming year. And I need everybody in the community to support it.
Yes. And on a total eclipse.
Yes.
We're doing a UFO. We are doing a UFO day or a weekend. The day of a total eclipse.
Yeah, it's a Tuesday.
Yeah.
So it's Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. They're trying to get different things.
That's badass.
We are desperately looking for a bluegrass band that would be willing to come out and play with us and for us.
How do they need to contact if they see this and they're a band that wants to get in contact?
They could call me at 417-247-9177. Okay. Gaither's Insurance. They could call Able Insurance in Mountain View.
Okay.
You know, and I did get a word into somebody to try to get to talk to the bakers. If you're out there, if you're listening, we would love to have you. We don't have a lot of money, but it's for a good cause. Every dime that is raised do Buck Nelson Day will go to the youth community, as far as the soccer, little league, all of our youth activities
that they need for this town.
Any money that is gained off of that goes
straight
directly to the youth people.
Yes.
The youth programs of our community.
And it'll be divvied up even among the women's and the different teams and sex and
absolutely.
All that.
I mean, it's not going to, we're going to try to give equally and honestly, and that's the whole purpose. And that was the whole purpose of the Aaron Tipping concert.
Exactly.
So we are still, people in the community are still trying to help our community grow.
Well, and if something fails, it doesn't mean we should stop. We regroup and we carry on.
And carry on and try to do something else to better our community.
Exactly. And another thing on that, Buck Nelson, guys, get involved with this. It's so cool. They're having a parade. All these businesses are making floats that are UFO. Your boy here, he's going to be the MC. I'll be narrating everything and talking on the mic and helping out. It's going to be an awesome time.
And something else that Robin's doing from Able is she's going around the community. She's got an original Buck Nelson book. She got a letter today from Buck Nelson to one of the ladies that helped him on his convention, thanking him for the convention.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we're trying to get different things from the community that people have to lend us to,
like memorabilia.
Yeah, memorabilia about Buck Nelson. There is a museum in Kansas City that has actual Buck Nelson recordings and different things, and we're trying to get with them to see if they would come down and put up a demonstration or with what they have, just to let the community see that Buck Nelson was an important part of our history.
Yes, that got lost somehow.
Yeah,
it's wild. I never heard about him until like springtime this year.
I heard about him years ago when I first moved here, because I sit with a lot of old timers, and so I hear a lot of different conversations about different histories of our community. And I really truly believe that we need to start vitalizing our community and bringing some of this history back to our kids and letting our kids know that, our town is worth keeping.
Yeah, and saving.
Our town is worth saving. Our town is worth growing. Yeah. And as our kids grow to be those elders and city council people and mayors and stuff, start focusing now on changing our community to make it to where our kids have something worth staying for.
Yes. Yep. And to be proud of.
Right.
Yep.
And with that, I'll shut up. But, I'm passionate about this.
Me too.
I'm passionate about what I do. I'm passionate about helping people.
Me too.
And I just want everybody loved.
Yeah.
I just want everybody treated the same. I don't care what your race is, your sexual preference, your
race, religion, or creed.
Yeah, anything.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're, what religion you are. I think everybody, God put us all on this earth, and whatever your God is,
it's that God. Yes.
Yeah.
And
it's a loving God.
Exactly.
It's do right by others. And in every religion that I've ever studied into, and I've studied into a lot of them, every one of them talk about treating your brother and sister as your brother and sister.
Yep. Spread that kindness and compassion, and it'll be repaid tenfold.
Exactly.
And that's what it's all
if
about.
Nothing else, it'll make your life so much easier.
Exactly. That's why I tell people is being nice is the most selfish thing you can do, because it feels so good.
Right. And that's what I'm about.
Same.
I hate conflict.
Yeah.
I really do. I hate people talking about other people. I hate gossip. If you, my mom always said, if you don't have something nice to say about something, keep your mouth shut.
Yep, exactly.
you know, and we need to get back to that mentality in this country.
I agree.
We need to
We're
get
too
back.
divided.
I told a lady, I asked her, I said, how's your day going? She says, eh. And I said, you know, I said, I used to feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
I said, but you know, every time I feel like my life sucks, I look around, there's somebody 10 times worse.
Exactly. It could always be worse.
You know, live that way.
Yep.
Live every day like it's your last day, because tomorrow's not promised to you.
Exactly. Yep.
You know, I tell all of my customers, you know, when we talk about life insurance and things, you know, nothing's promised. You know, you could get up of that chair, walk outside that door,
Die of a heart attack,
and that's the last anybody will ever say anything to you.
Yep.
And we all got to remember that. And it doesn't matter age. You know, I mean, I just had a 27-year-old friend of mine
die.
You know, he got leukemia.
Oh, shit.
You know, he's in remission, thank God.
Oh, good.
But I also had a 27-year-old friend of mine that's been a friend of my daughter's for several years, was down in Oklahoma, had a crash, and she's not with us anymore. You know, and that hurts. I mean, somebody you've known since they were kindergarten. She was, you know, one of my daughter's best friends, you know, and the first thing their family said to me at the funeral was, thank God she had insurance.
Yeah. Exactly, because you never know.
You know, and they believe that the reason she took insurance out with her work when she got it was because I was always talking to them about how important it is to have it. And that's
that safety net that's needed.
You know,
and people don't think about it till it's too late, and then it's too late.
Right.
You know, and that's,
you know.
Yeah.
With that, I'll be quiet.
Okay. Well, plug your stuff real quick.
Yeah.
Where to find you, where you're at, email, phone, whatever you want to do.
I have Gaither's Insurance in Mountain View, Missouri at 519 East 5th Street in the same building as Computers and More. And also you can reach out to me at gaitherinsurance.com, gaitherins.com. I have a website, and you can book an appointment with me. It tells a little bit about me. And you can always just call me at 417-247-9177. I don't care if you come do business with me or not. If you have a question and I can help you, I'm here.
And that's the kind of guy he is, guys. So, yeah. Man, I appreciate this. I've had a great conversation, and this was a great episode. I think we talked about some very good subjects, and yeah, we had some fun along the way.
I think so. And, you know, and like I said, we may not be right about everything we talked about. You know, but a lot of it's our opinion of what's going on in the world.
Yep.
And everybody has a right to their opinion, and other people have a right not to like it or like it.
Exactly.
You know?
Well, that's the great thing about free speech is we're free to be wrong. We're free to be right. We're free to say what we want and how we feel. And no one can take that from us because we live in America.
Amen.
That's it.